What is up, friends? Greetings, happy Monday, welcome, and all that good stuff. What is up, Sword Fam? What is up, lurkers in chat? What is up, VOD viewers? Welcome to another Monday stream and a, dare I say, exciting new installment of James Bond. We are venturing into uncharted territory. Well, technically, I guess most of the territory we are exploring in this project is uncharted to one degree or another. But today we are looking at our first James Bond mobile games. And it's gonna be fun, but it's gonna be frustrating and annoying and a technical headache and a half, I'm sure. But I think it'll be interesting. Itinerant Soldier just paid their final little bit of fight tax, and we have thus completed the next Viewer's Choice versus Fighting Game Friday Night Bonus Stream Challenge. I'm gonna have to double check my schedule, but I do not believe that there's any obstacle in particular to doing it this Friday. Looking at my calendar, or a calendar at least, that should be fine. I have a few days to prepare. And I wouldn't want to postpone it to next week because next weekend is Evo Japan. I'm very excited for that, and it is highly likely that Evo Japan is going to cause a little bit of disruption to my streaming schedule. I'll work out those details and make announcements as necessary, but yeah, it'll be good to get this kind of out of the way before that. So cool, thanks to everyone who contributed. I will be repaying in kind by doing a bonus stream, most likely this Friday night. Today, however, we are doing our regularly scheduled stream, and it is of a James Bond variety. I did a little bit of research, I did a little bit of prep, and I did mention this on, I guess it would have been Saturday's stream, and I unfortunately, regretfully, have to report that I had made an error in my planning, and basically what it amounts to is that not the next game that's coming up, but the one after that, which we probably would have been playing today as well, is in fact not going to be playable. We're gonna take a little bit of a look at Cover Chase once we're done with Ice Racer, but we will unfortunately not really be able to play it ourselves. But that's kind of how it goes with mobile games. I apparently did not quite do all of my due diligence back when I was first putting together the list. The thing is, as I discovered in my testing, that the game will boot up. So I probably took it that far, and I booted it up and saw that it booted. And then I was like, well, I don't really want to play it. I don't want to spoil myself. So then I kind of left it. But it doesn't really go anywhere beyond booting in the kind of emulator solution that's available. But we'll get to that when we get to it. What that will mean, most likely, however, is that game number 29, which is 007 Cover Chase, will just be kind of, will be marked in the game list as a, I don't know what terminology we'll use for it. I'll come up with something, but we're essentially skipping it until the day if and when we will be able to play it, in which case we will certainly go back to it. But most likely we'll just have to take a look at some descriptions and some screenshots, boot it up and maybe look at the menu, and that's about as far as we'll be able to take it. However, before that, of course, we do have 007 Ice Racer to look at. Both of these games are based on, to various degrees, I suppose, the final Pierce Brosnan 007 movie, Die Another Day, which we did watch on Discord on Saturday night. It was a great time. It always is. Entirely unrelated to the quality of the film in question. I thought it was interesting though, because I guess in a way I feel like my viewing experience lined up pretty well with the film's kind of reputation and my impression of it. Because Die Another Day is a film that has like a reputation for being bad. For being like the sort of, you know, the pinnacle of the Pierce Brosnan movies getting increasingly worse with each film or whatever. But I don't know if it has like a completely a reputation for being like, I mean, it's mostly that some of the like the action set pieces look a bit goofy with the CG stuff, and like there's some real stupid plot stuff or whatever, but I feel like even in those regards, like it doesn't necessarily have quite as bad of a reputation as some other films for just being like overly stupid and terrible. But it is kind of boring. The thing is, like, I think it's absolutely fair to say that it's the weakest Pierce Brosnan movie, because it doesn't really have a lot of exciting stuff going for it. Like, it's got a decent plot. It's got fairly fine action scenes. Like the opening scene was pretty great. I thought it was like really good. Or, you know, I enjoyed the opening scene, and then it's like, all right, let's get the plot going. And then the plot kind of took a while to get going, and it was never really exciting, and it wasn't like, didn't have a lot of intrigue or mystery. And the dialogue in the movie is like pretty terrible. It's all like exposition. I don't know. It's like, you could have taken the basic structure and the basic beats of that film and just like written it in a more compelling fashion. Make sure that like the stuff that matters to the plot actually comes across clearly on screen. Create some reason for viewers to actually be invested in anything. And I think it could have been pretty good. So that's the thing, like it's not really, I never felt like it was super awful. It was just like a bit boring, and you kind of checked out a little bit. What's up, Netscape Navigator? Game Hover Chase has been reported captured by the enemy and sent to a North Korean prison camp. Yeah, and unless we get something very valuable to trade for it, I think it's gonna stay locked up. But we'll see. You never know. You never know. But I thought like it was the things that I kind of disliked or thought were bad about the film were in a way not what I expected. So far I've found that a lot of the films have either kind of not lined up with my memories of them, because I haven't really watched, like I've watched the Daniel Craig movies as they've come out, and I think Skyfall is really the only one that I've kind of gone back to and watched multiple times. I haven't seen Spectre. But beyond that, like, I haven't really... I feel like I watched Bond movies with some degree of regularity as a kid, but in the last 20, 25 years, I don't feel like I watched any of them, like, with... I don't know. I might have caught one of them on TV once or twice, like 20 years ago, but that's kind of the extent of it. So some of the movies have been fun to revisit, but more than my own memories, I feel like my perception of a lot of the films are based on kind of, you know, general consensus and discourse online and whatever. And I thought it was interesting with some of them that it's like my view of them now is like not really, doesn't line up super well with that kind of consensus. For example, I thought The World's Not Enough was not bad. Not great, but I don't really think that many Bond movies are great. Most of them are like, they're pretty alright, they're entertaining enough, and most of them have like, you know, pretty boring stretches here and there. But there's something comfy about even like a mediocre Bond film for the most part. You know, a lot of them have like fun stunts, fun locations, like beautiful photography. You know, there's usually something to enjoy even when they're kind of boring or just a bit dull. But some people have like really strong feelings and opinions on some of these films, and I just find myself like not really aligning with that, which is not surprising to me. I'm contrarian with a lot of things. But The World's Not Enough is a movie that seems to have a reputation for being really bad and really stupid and whatever else. And it's like, I don't really see it. Like, it's adequate. It's perfectly fine. By Bond film standards, at least the ones we rewatched, like, I think it's all right. Tomorrow Never Dies, I felt, was a lot more uneven. Tomorrow Never Dies has parts that are really great, and the other 60-70% of the movie is pretty dull and boring, and I think weaker than The World's Not Enough. And I was trying to think when we watched Die Another Day, like how I feel about it compared to Tomorrow Never Dies, and I think obviously Die Another Day doesn't really have anything, it doesn't have any highlights that are as good, and it's like an unfortunate comparison because of course one of the kind of notable elements of Die Another Day is Halle Berry's character Jinx, who is just terrible. The dialogue is like extremely embarrassing. Anytime her and Bond are on screen, they just have this like really childish flirting like exposition chat that's just, it's terrible. It's really cringy and just stupid. And they don't really have any chemistry per se, and she doesn't really add much or do anything. She's not like an interesting or exciting foil for Bond. She's just like, they're kind of partnering up, and then he has to rescue her like 3 times. Whereas Michelle Yeoh's character Wei Lin in Tomorrow Never Dies is like a much more interesting character. She is like actually Bond's equal in a lot of ways. They have great chemistry, and like they have great action scenes together also, like, so they're kind of repeating the same concept of this like mysterious female counterpart from a different country's agency for Bond to kind of have a little bit of friction with, but of course inevitably work together with, and it's just like 100 times worse in Die Another Day. So I thought that was like, you know, doesn't do the film any favors in the comparison. What's up, Gundam? Closest thing to a highlight is the car battle scene. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the action's mostly perfectly serviceable. You're just not very invested in any of it, and I feel like that scene in particular was over in about 2 seconds. We're gonna play actually a few different games today, and I think altogether they're gonna be like any one of them, these tiny Java phone games are probably gonna be longer than that scene in the movie. But you know, for people who are into cars, I guess that's cool. It's not the kind of thing that I tend to get too excited about. But it's not like, oh man, they have this big action car battle set piece and it was terrible. Like, you know, they had that idea and they pulled it off, and I think it was perfectly fine. It's just very forgettable, like everything in the movie. So I was kind of hoping going into it, like I was secretly hoping that I would find some cool stuff to appreciate in the movie, to kind of not prove anyone wrong, but to kind of be able to go out of it saying, you know what, people hate this movie, but I enjoyed it, you know. But I mean, I had a great time. It was fun chatting and you know, watching movies. I enjoy watching movies, but if I were to go back to a Brosnan Bond film, this probably would be my last choice. Like, I think I'd pretty clearly rank them GoldenEye first, and then The World's Not Enough, then Tomorrow Never Dies, and then this. But even then, like, depending on my mood, I could easily see myself being more interested in rewatching Tomorrow Never Dies over The World's Not Enough, just because it actually has kind of higher highs, but it's got these kind of boring stretches too. And I don't know, I feel like people also say that Die Another Day is like, it's too silly. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a handful of Bond films that really stand out as not having many silly elements. The Daniel Craig movies, by and large, like lean pretty hard against those kinds of things. And you could certainly look at something like License to Kill, which is tonally quite different from a lot of movies, and it's a really great movie. I love that one. It's so far of the movies we've watched, easily my favorite. But I mean, GoldenEye has a lot of silly shit too. And I think not all of the Brosnan movies have an invisible car, but it's I don't feel like it's that much more far-fetched than some of the other shit. Yeah, I think the general consensus is that it's like GoldenEye was the best, and then they kind of get weaker with each one. And that's that's what I expected, and the kind of mindset I went into watching these films with. But I don't really, again, agree that that's the case, because I think you could easily at least have an argument over the merits of Tomorrow Never Dies versus The World's Not Enough. I think both of them are okay with serious flaws and issues. Like, I'm even on some level torn about GoldenEye. I think there's like plenty of things in that I feel I kind of am not a huge fan of, just in a very, very broad sense, in terms of some of the characters and like the vibe and tone of it. But it's so much fun. Like, it's a really fun movie. I hate making a distinction between a good movie and a fun movie, so I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's not good but it's fun, because it's like, well, if it's fun, then mission accomplished, then it's good, right? But there's like there's certain things about GoldenEye where I feel like this isn't like really what, like, and I can't even put my finger on it exactly, but there's certain things that I'm just like, I'm not sure. I think it's like maybe some of the characters are like very broad in a kind of like 90s sort of way that I can be a little allergic to at times. At the same time, like, I think it's probably Brosnan's best performance as Bond, even though he's usually not the problem with any of these films. I think M has like an amazing, like, Judi Dench's M makes a very strong first impression in that film. And I'm a big fan of Colin Salmon. He's great too. Like, having that sort of crew and the version of these MI6 characters, Moneypenny being extremely horny for Bond is not nearly as embarrassing as it gets in some of the other ones, I feel like. So there's certainly a lot to like about GoldenEye, and I think it's like, it's not really a debate. I'd really have to struggle to put any of the other ones over that one, really. But I guess I would say that there's parts, like I said, the in Tomorrow Never Dies, the big like action chase scene with Bond and Wei Lin, where they like rappel down the building on this giant banner, and they get into this motorcycle chase and they fight a helicopter. Like, that whole part is amazing. And I think I can't really think of like big action set pieces in GoldenEye that I remember being that exciting and cool and novel and interesting. But yeah, as a whole, like, I think that's the one that don't really have any boring parts. So why not? About moving being silly. The whole Bond goes rogue thing was so implausible, it was laughable. Him walking out was supposed to be a high security area, and casually walking into a 5-star hotel is Roger Moore levels of cringe. I mean, I think that's definitely a big problem with Die Another Day, but I wouldn't put it, like, for me, that doesn't really register on the kind of silliness metric. Obviously, people have different allergies for different kinds of silliness, but I think that's just poor execution of a potentially interesting concept. But that's kind of what I mean about the plot being delivered in such a clumsy fashion, where conceptually, again, if you put down like the Cliff's Notes version of the plot with the story beats, sort of, you know, the movie starts with Bond being captured and like tortured in a North Korean prison for a year, and that's like pretty intriguing. That's a pretty unusual start to a Bond movie. He gets traded for his freedom, and like no one's happy about it having come to this, but there is like a suspicion, there's like some intel that gives MI6 the impression that Bond has started to leak information, and that's why they are desperate to get him out. But they don't, like, they intend to keep him locked up basically, but then he escapes, and he's like not, yeah, he's going rogue, right? Lamisar with the 46 month of Skull Club membership. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for your contribution to the Q branch research funding. We will take a look at that in a moment. Thank you very much indeed, Lamisar. I mean, it's, yeah, so the gist of it is like Bond was captured in North Korea, and even though the movie doesn't make it clear at all, Bond is like, I was set up. And you're like, well, because what we see in the film is like Bond impersonates some guy who's supposed to be at a meeting. And the first thing that happens when he shows up is that one of the North Korean dudes like takes a picture of him, and we see that basically they're Googling Bond's photo, and he comes up as like, oh, he's a super famous secret agent, you better arrest him. And they're like, well, we better arrest him. And they do that. And it's like, it's not made clear at all that someone is being fed any kind of inside information to reveal his identity. Because it's also, you know, this exact same thing happened in, off the top of my head, at least in A View to a Kill, right? Where Christopher Walken is secretly Googling James Bond when he's in a meeting with him on his 1985 future computer, because he's a Silicon Valley genius hacker man. And it's like, I at least like sort of take it completely on face value that, you know, all right, they have they're not fucking stupid. They're gonna take a picture and they're gonna run some kind of check to make sure that they've got the right guy. And they like, oh, okay, well, no, turns out the guy who was supposed to have this meeting has been replaced by this British spy. Let's do something about that. But what's supposed to be the plot is that he was betrayed by someone. There was a double agent, and that's supposed to be like a mystery of some sort. But the movie does a terrible job of explaining that that's the case, because it's just like Bond being grumpy and like convinced that there was someone betraying him based on no particular evidence. And then the double agent is revealed, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess there was a double agent. And then when we learn a few more details, as you say, Gundam, like it's, like, how could that person even find themselves in that position, given the extremely obvious sort of conflict of interest? But there's a lot of those like extremely plot crucial details that are super glossed over, and even the idea that Bond goes rogue is like they do nothing with it, because it's not clear from like the way the only real difference from any other Bond film is that there's no scene where Bond goes to M's office to get a briefing. Instead, they meet in the subway. And that's like the difference, because he does not appear to have any kind of limits to his resources. You know, he doesn't have any trouble traveling. He doesn't have any trouble doing anything. Like, he just kind of shows up where he needs to be for the plot, and there's no implication of any kind that he is hamstrung by not having the support of MI6. In fact, he should be like a fugitive, and they should be after him. But whenever he interacts with MI6 or anything, it's like completely fine. It's just really weird. So there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, all right, here's some kind of friction or mystery or intrigue or something. The movie kind of goes out of its way to just muddy the water and not explain anything and just, whatever, don't worry about it. And just go from scene to scene and just spout exposition at you, completely glossing over the stuff that, like, would matter. Yeah, like, you could make something that's actually interesting and cool and fun about, like, how does he, like, what favors does he have to sort of cash in to make up for the fact that he doesn't have his support network and resources and anything. But yeah, like you said, he just travels the world, and he just, yeah, he does not appear to be even slightly inconvenienced by the fact that he is, like, ostensibly hunted by his employer. Instead, it's like business as usual. It's very strange. So I feel like there's a lot of major gaps in terms of the storytelling with that kind of stuff, where if instead of not doing that well or at all, they actually executed on those concepts, I think it could have been a fun, exciting movie. But instead, it's just kind of, the movie not caring about any of that stuff makes it impossible for me to care as a viewer. It's kind of how I feel. But being that as it may, we still had a fun time, and we have accumulated valuable context for our mobile gaming excursion today. Yeah, like, I'm not objecting to the idea that Bond would be capable of arranging things such that things work out fine. It's not that it's not believable that it could work. It's just like, it's not very satisfying narratively that it, like, doesn't even matter. But also, like, it's just doesn't, you know, with the information we're being presented, it doesn't make sense. It's like there are, I don't want to call them plot holes necessarily, but it's just like very, yeah, just lacking in detail and lacking in specificity of how things happen and why. It's just things happen and then next things happen. That's kind of the movie. Like, we do get some kind of implication that M is kind of personally trusting Bond, and you know, that wouldn't be the first time there's that kind of, you know, relationship or you know, I think it's kind of a recurring thing in some of the Brosnan movies, at least, that M has to deal with the kind of international diplomacy shit, and she has to kind of keep that, like, running and working while doing her best to, like, not let that shit get in the way for what Bond needs to do or whatever, you know? And, like, that part is, like, the CAA or whoever they are, like, Michael Madsen fucking shows up. I had no idea he was in the movie. Like, they have an actual presence in the film on screen more so than in some of those other films. But even then, the supposedly strange relationship between these people and these agencies is, like, not really explained, let alone, like, capitalized on in any meaningful way. But anyway, I'm sure all of these details will be present and accounted for in our mobile games that we're going to be playing today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else of import that we should discuss or bring up before we get to it, but I don't think so. I think we're kind of good to go. Let's hop on over to the Bond scene. Before anything else, you check in here and see that this is indeed working. Got the sub from friend of the channel, Lamasar, and that accounts for 250 Q credits on today's stream. This number can be increased by means of subscribing, cheering, buying merch, or donating. And if we get this number up to 1,000 over the course of today's stream, we will have cleared one more daily objective and we'll be halfway to unlocking the next bonus secret mission. Pretty much all there is to that. I'm looking forward to the next secret mission. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be something a little different, and I think as far as those things go, somewhat substantive too. So that should be fun. But as for today's feature, 007 Ice Racer. You may notice here that the picture says Ice Race 007. I was a little bit unclear where this picture came from, because as you might imagine, when you're trying to put together cover art or something approximately, you know, equivalent for Java phone games, you kind of, you know, it's slim pickings. But this was a picture that came up, and this is technically a kind of an alternate version of, I don't want to call it the same game, but the same game idea, kind of. But the picture is actually from a browser game, which I do want to take a look at. We might be able to take a look at that today. I don't really I have it like prepared, so if we can, if time allows and I can make it work, we might look at it today. But we might also do some kind of bonus or extra stream with a few Bond Flash games and similar, which I hadn't really accounted for in my game list. But I feel like that's maybe something we could do as a little bit of a makeup thing for not being able to play Hover Chase. We'll see. In any case, the picture is as good as any, but the phone versions, to the best of my knowledge, are indeed called Ice Racer. And we'll be looking at two versions of this game, for XN and for J2ME. They both came out in 2002. And I believe Infugio is the developer of the XN version. The Java version is developed by another company whose name I don't have in front of me, but they were also the developers of the Hover Chase game, I believe. Yeah, Iomo is the name of the other developer. Both games, more or less, sort of, kind of, follow the same general principle as outlined here. 007 Ice Racer is a driving game based on the film Die Another Day. You're chasing Zhao and Jinx across Iceland with your special Aston Martin car to reach the Ice Palace and kill the villains. Exactly like the movie. You have several weapons with you to damage enemy cars. The goal is to drive faster than the enemy and destroy his car before the time reaches 0 and before you run out of petrol. Well, that's a video game description if ever I heard one. Before we start playing here, I have a little bit of prep to get everything set up here. As you might imagine, there's not a lot of supplementary material for these games. For the last several streams, we've been able to look a bit at you know, advertising, TV commercials, manuals, packaging. But for these games, you kind of get what you get. And playing phone games on a computer, or on anything really, I suppose, is not without its challenges. XN, which is short for something, I forget, I guess it's kind of its own platform that was compatible with certain handsets. And the way you can run these games on a PC is a kind of simulated environment. I don't think technically it's an emulator, but it's, I guess, the equivalent. I'm not technical enough to understand the difference, but my understanding is that this software was developed in like the early to mid 2000s, and that's it. That's, you know, that's what's available. So there's nothing any more modern and the documentation is pretty lackluster, but games sort of mostly boot up and seem to sort of mostly kind of work. One issue that I came across, and it wasn't until I looked around and read some more kind of impressions from other people who had played it, is that when we boot up the game, the XN version, the game will run fine. The game parts will be okay. But whenever you are in menus, the game runs at like half a frame a second, and the emulator will, or the program, whatever, will frequently stop responding in Windows. I don't think anything is like freezing or locking off any resources or anything, but I do want to give a fair warning that there is a possibility that whatever's happening in this program is wreaking such havoc that it could have an impact on the stream. I don't feel like I can comfortably guarantee that that will not be the case, you know? So it'll freeze and it'll hang and it'll just not update for a while, but then eventually it doesn't actually hang, it just is extremely slow for some reason. It's really bizarre. But I was able to, when I did some testing, get through the first level and get through the subsequent menu screens and start up level 2. So I trusted that it works. I didn't want to really play more because before you know it, you'd probably have finished the game. When we get to the J2ME version, that's going to come with kind of its own set of issues and difficulties, but that was at least also bootable. So we'll do our best. And if anyone in chat happens to be like a phone game expert and can give me advice or help or improve the experience, I'm all ears. These games I expect to be pretty short and not very deep experiences, to the point where if there would be reason to revisit them in the future, I don't think it would be that big of a problem. The other thing is, of course, that there are multiple J2ME games to come in the future. And if there's something I can or should do to make things better for you or for me, I'm totally open to that. I do know, or at least I am under the impression, that the kind of current, the contemporary method for playing Java games on a PC, or at least last I heard, is to use Android, like to basically emulate Android on your PC and use Java phone emulators for Android in that emulator, because the Windows alternative, emulator, which is what I will be using today, works but is a little more finicky and cumbersome. Apparently, like, that shit, much like the XN thing, has not been, like, no one's done anything to improve it in like literal decades, whereas on the Android platform, like, you have some more modern alternatives that apparently work better. I've not had the time to really immerse myself in how any of that works. I figured that I can get the game running in KEmulator. It seems to work well enough, but I might be willing to dig into that kind of stuff if it makes for a better experience. But we'll see. So just be prepared that we might be dealing with a little bit of technical challenges today. Hopefully it'll be fine, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. Well, with that preamble out of the way, I think we'll boot it up and we'll see how it goes. I think what we should do is we should probably keep this music going, because I think the games aren't gonna have a lot of music. So I think what we're gonna do is, let's see here, a little work. I'll hop on over to this song. Good old little Nightfire menu music, and I'll just disable shuffle and we'll keep some Bond tracks going for a while. Let's see here then. Oh yeah, we should have a timer on here, shouldn't we? All right. With any of these phone things, it opens up like 12 debug windows, but okay. I have it here. Let me get the capture going. Hope I have the controls correct. Do it. All right. Got a gun barrel sequence. Good start. Well, we got half of one. There we go. Die another day. All right. So from here on out, it's probably going to start freezing up and go in mega slow motion. But we'll make it work. What's up, Helldog? Yes, we are embarking on the first of several mobile phone games. So there's no audio, and I don't know exactly how much of that is something I could do something about, how much of it is the environment, how much of it is the game. It's not unusual for phone games to not have a lot of audio because they were extremely small. You know, they had to cram what they needed to into an extremely tiny amount of data. Okay, it's starting to fade out. I didn't press anything, so I guess there's some kind of a track mode. Maybe. We'll see what happens. So for my testing, the gameplay works fine, but the menus are like mega fucked up and super jacked and run at not even half a frame a second. Like, it's just very slow. I think the J2ME version has, I remember hearing some kind of audio, but I don't know if it actually, it wouldn't surprise me if the audio is like completely not emulated correctly. So I'm not sure if it's going to be accepting inputs or if it's in the middle of a fade or something. Let me try to press enter and see if something will happen. Oh. Okay, so let me back out. Press escape. We'll wait a couple of seconds. Oh, there we go. It's actually surprisingly responsive. I pressed down. So we'll see. Oh, it's starting to move. There we go. Let's press down again. Let's see if we can read through the instructions. The inputs seem responsive enough. It's just like extremely slow. Controls. Lord Moss Bios with the raid. Welcome everybody. Welcome Moss Bios. Welcome fine folks and friends. We are just about to play the first James Bond mobile phone video game. It is a little bit of a technical undertaking to get this to work, including some extremely slow menus that run at about half a frame a second. But once we get into the game, it'll be okay, I think.
Look, you!
Fight Magic Item Run. That's a powerful username. Thank you very much for the follow and welcome. Speaking of welcome, I should probably give everyone a proper welcome. I'm Jigga. I stream all kinds of weird things. I collect old Japanese games and like fighting games, arcade games, and what have you. I'm also doing this project called Games Bond, in which we chronologically explore the history of James Bond 007 video games. We have made it through 27 games, and this is the 28th one, and the first mobile phone game. It is a driving game based on Die Another Day. And as with games of this nature, it can be a bit tricky to get them to run and function properly. But from my testing, this has mostly worked. So let's see if we can get into it. Love seeing people stream games from strange places. Yeah, I like doing that. I'm not super technically savvy, but I'm definitely interested in you know, the less trodden path.
Unspeakable horror awaits you.
Lamasar gifted a tier 1 sub to Moss Bios. Congrats and thank you, Lamasar, for that kind gesture. That puts us at 500 Q credits, halfway to the daily objective. Please enjoy your emotes. I see you are already. I love doing projects like this. A couple of years ago, I did a similar project with Batman games, and I played 50, 60 something Batman games, which included some very, you know, well-known, popular, well-liked games. It involved some famously terrible games, and it involved a good number of games that no one had ever heard of. And Bond has been very similar so far. Like I said, we're 28 games deep, and I feel like there's like 8 games maybe so far that people are actually familiar with. There's been a lot of old British computer games. We had a few handheld games. We've got, you know, console and PC games, first-person shooters, side-scrollers, and everything else. And it's been a good time so far. Few absolute stinkers. But I will say Nightfire on the Game Boy Advance, which was the most recent game before this, was pretty stressful, but we managed to make our way through it. Are there any Bond games that have surprised me by how good they are? For sure. We did do a... we have kind of an ongoing thing where every so often we go back to the games Bond tier list of ranking Bond games. And currently in the S tier, I think there's 2 games in the S tier. One of which I kind of expected because I know it has a good reputation, and that is James Bond 007 for the Game Boy. That game's incredible. So it was better than I expected, but I had high expectations, so that wasn't like a huge shock. But the other one was James Bond The Duel for the Sega Master System. I'd played the Mega Drive version as a kid and thought it was mostly fine, and I liked it. I actually finished it surprisingly quickly, given that I never finished it as a kid. I knew that the Master System game was different, but I didn't necessarily expect much of it. But I actually really like the level design. Like, it's a really challenging and fun platformer, and they're like, it's kind of the only Bond game like that almost, except the Mega Drive game. But I think the Master System one is more fun. So that to me is like right at the top of the list, and that's not something I would have expected. And there's other games like License to Kill on the Amiga, as well as The Spy Who Loved Me. I think both of them were developed by the Kremlin, British developer, and they were like surprisingly cool with a lot of really intricate pixel art and fun details. They're not like super amazing games, they're kind of limited in scope, but I wasn't expecting much and I had a lot of fun with them. So there's definitely been highlights for sure. We did play James Bond Jr. for the NES as well as the one for the SNES, and they are both not great. The NES one is technically pretty impressive, and it has a werewolf potion, which I always feel like any Bond game could be improved by having a werewolf potion, if we're being frank. But it doesn't really have anything to do with the TV show. But it's got some cool European NES music. There is a point-and-click adventure game, yes. Operation Stealth, aka A Stealth Affair. And it's terrible. It's a really bad adventure game. It's by Delphine Software. It's got great music, great art, but the puzzle design is awful. And the writing is awkwardly translated from French and has like the tone is very strange, and I don't know, it was an extremely frustrating game, and it was every moment you think of like 5 different ways to have done something different in that game, like from a development point of view, that would have made for a better game. It was very frustrating. I frankly wouldn't recommend it to anyone. watch a playthrough maybe, because it's got cool little set pieces and great art, but it's also got like 12 maze levels and shit. It's not good. But it's been fun, and if you want to catch up, you can do so either here on Twitch or on my YouTube channel. I'm a little bit behind. I need to put some VODs up of the most recent games. But you can find the GameSpawn playlist there, and you can watch all of the previous 27 or so games. Well, except the most recent ones. Didn't get to them yet. But the VODs are on Twitch, so feel free to catch up on whatever might catch your interest. Let's try to get back to this here. Right, that's right, I read about this. So you can steer left and right and ostensibly slow down. There's no speeding up, but I guess it's like automatic acceleration, and we can brake if we press the 8 key. Apparently, there's a queue shop between levels. But apparently buying weapons, buying ammo in this game involves sending an SMS to like Vodafone or whatever, so that is not going to work, and I don't know what this emulator software whatever is gonna do if we try to do that. So we'll just make do without. Excited to see how jank this is. You may or may not be impressed, but we'll see. You be the judge. Rules: drive as fast as possible, avoid obstacles or shoot at them with rockets, take bonuses in time limited. All right, press down. Oh boy, races. Oh, I guess that's a comma, I guess. Okay, in time limited races, reach the end of the level before the countdown. All right. Oh, there's more. In chase races, drive or shoot into opponent. Drive or shoot into opponent as many times as needed. Okay. Are there more rules? Is that it? Progress bar at top. Center. Shows you how far your target is. Okay. Boy, I think we're getting a nice seasonal welcome here from the 7 o'clock laser beam. Been a while. Yeah, so I explained it before, but for those who missed it, the menu screens in this emulator or whatever it is run excruciatingly mega slow, but the game itself should work fine. From my testing, but we'll just call it building up anticipation. Java phone games, frankly, is a really exciting realm of games to explore. Many of the games are extremely simple, of course, but it's interesting because it was kind of the last venue for like high quality pixel art. These are, you know, this is 2003, but games like this, especially in markets like China, were being developed well into the late 2000s and maybe even beyond. And some of them have like really elaborate and cool pixel art. And you found like quite a few developers who were kind of, that was their expertise, but there wasn't really anywhere else for them to apply it. You know, there's of course plenty of good pixel art on like GBA and to some degree the DS, but it was kind of dying out, whereas the Java phone stuff was like that's what was happening there. So there's definitely some cool, interesting stuff, and in some cases it's really impressive to see how they managed to make games like fairly playable despite being very simplistic in terms of inputs. In Q's Labo, buy rockets, time, or fuel. Better grip and better acceleration. Turbo. In the game, drive through rocket to get ammunition, clock, or fuel. Can to get fuel, I'm gonna guess. You get, wait. Drive through rocket to get ammunition, clock, or fuel. Can to get time or fuel. This is very... It's impressive how confusing they managed to make this despite the very limited amount of info that's being conveyed here. Yellow flash to temporary speed up. I like that it's like the language itself is very truncated here. Wheel. I feel like I might have just... I'd have an easier time just sussing this out from playing the game, I think. Wheel to gain a temporary super grip and diamonds. Points, I think. Increase score. Increase your score. All I know is go fast, get rocket. I think even that might be overstating it. I think go fast. Just go, I think, is the central conceit here. All right. We've read all the information. We read all the instruction. Time to play. Yeah, we can get points. We'll see if that makes any difference. All right. Play. 16 minutes in, but I think about a good 7 of those minutes were me talking about other things, but that's kind of normal around here. New game. Choose your level. All right. Level 1. Sounds good to me. Okay, we get another gun barrel sequence. Level 1. All right. There's Ice. Ice Racer. It's living up to the name here. Do I press a button? Probably. Level 1. You have to find a phone cabin to get your road map. Okay, sure. If you say so. Oh, here we go. Q's Lab. So we can apparently buy things here by texting Vodafone. But let's not risk anything. Let's just game. Go game. Oh, there we go. We're off to the races. Oh, okay. Yellow science fuel. Wait. Do I want to hit that? I guess I want to hit. All right, we got 50p for yellow lightning. No, I'm slowing down. Okay, that's probably not something we wanted to collect. Oh, there's a clock. 10 seconds. Diamonds. Okay. I think I hit the car because we just slowed down a lot. It's kind of cool, but also it's impossible to see anything. Like, it's entirely impossible to try to dodge anything because you can't see where anything is in time to actually move out of the way. All right, okay. I guess we finished the level with 36 seconds to spare. I don't think there is any audio, but I'm not sure if the game has none or if it's to do with the software that we're running the game in, or if it's the software is simulating a phone which is set to not use audio. I'm not really sure, but it's not uncommon for phone games of this era to have very, very little or no audio, because the games were so tiny. They had to be so tiny that even bad MIDI music might be a luxury not afforded. But I'm not really sure. It's a jungle getting any of these games to even run. All right, we completed level 1, so we have to sit through excruciatingly slow menu screens before we can progress, but I believe we should be able to. Press the enter key again just to be safe. I don't know if safe is the right word for it, but... what size this game is, I can look it up. I'm a little bit afraid, but let's see here. This game is 115 kilobytes. All right, okay. Guess it finished tallying the score here, so maybe we need to press enter again now. Yeah, this was the part that was the slowest to get through when I did my testing, so I don't think it's crashed or frozen. It's just gonna be a while. Oh, there we go. Well done. You've finished this level. Press yes to move to the next level, or no to save your game. You'll something. Okay, so I assume pressing enter here is like the left confirm key. Okay, I think I pressed yes. Good walk cycle. Level 2. All right, we're in the... I was going to say Swiss Alps. I guess we're still in Iceland, but there's a town? I like these little intro screens for the level. I don't know how many levels this game has, by the way, but I don't think it's going to be very many. Your contact in Reykjavik is Jinx. Hurry up to meet her. All right, we have to hurry, I guess, because it's a video game and there's a timer. or else, I'm not so sure, but all right. I trust we'll be fine without rockets. We can meet our contact without firing explosives into the scenic Reykjavik cityscape. All right, this is okay. We got snow. Did I collect fuel? I might have. Whoa, there's a lot more shit on the road here. I missed the clock. That's pretty bad. Collecting fuel. Oh, that's an oil slick. All right, 10 seconds. What was that round thing I picked up? Not a rocket. I guess I got points for it. Okay, well, we made it with 30... Well, I guess it's not seconds either, really. It's 30 seconds... 37 time. It didn't go down... It went down pretty quickly. Easy. Yeah, it didn't seem very challenging. I'm a little unsure what those rockets are supposed to be good for, if I'm being honest. Like... Am I supposed to shoot the parked cars and warning signs? I mean, there's not much else to shoot at. And if that's the idea, I don't know how you're supposed to be able to see that something is in front of you, realize that you don't have time to get out of the way, but somehow have enough time to shoot a rocket. The design doesn't seem entirely thought out. Do that, the agency will pay for the damage. Oh, I assure you, James Bond is not concerned about collateral damage. And by extension, neither am I. I'm just curious what the thought was from a, from a game design point of view. Technical restraints this dev team must have been under to produce a racing game where the car is only the bottom fifth of the screen. I mean, like I said, it's kind of impressive, right? Like, it's cool. And it's like, a lot of these games are kind of like that, where the limitations are severe, but pretty clear, so you just work around them, and they... I mean, I'm sure they come in all forms, but from my admittedly limited experience, you have plenty of games where they don't really try to get overly ambitious. They do what they can, and it's like, you know... For a 5-minute time waster on your phone in 2003, you know, it doesn't have to be that elaborate. Yeah, of course, I'm playing it in a fairly tiny window on my screen, and it's even in my OBS preview window, it's like blown up larger than it is in the actual game window I'm playing it in. And if you're watching this like on a monitor or, God forbid, a big TV, yeah, you're being blasted by some pretty big pixels. But yeah, you know, of course, they have to be designed to be played on a screen that's really tiny. And, you know, performance is such that you're not going to have a super smooth high frame rate or anything. Like, it's going to be pretty simple. But having said that, like, it's generally, you know, real-time action-y type stuff. It's not like they're shying away from making something that feels like a video game. It's just a different kind of paradigm than not just console games of its day, but even like older, simpler games, you know. But there were, of course, you know, a lot of older games being sort of ported to phones with, I'm sure, limited or you know, varying results. Okay, level 3, we're still in town, I guess. All right, what's the mission brief here? Jinx will show you the road to the Ice Palace. Follow her. The opening intro instructions thing told us about like different types of levels, right? Like chase races. Is this one of those? Or do we just, I mean, I guess we just keep driving. You don't have to press anything to go forward. You literally just press left and right. And I guess you can press a button to slow down, but it doesn't really seem like you have much reason to do so. All right, okay, the same intro picture, but the level looks different. Got these nice little houses. Ooh, I have a rocket. I wonder if the rockets carry over. Maybe we should collect some for our inevitable showdown with Zhao. Ooh, okay, so that's the petrol. I see. The giant oil drums. Or just giant oil drums. Like so. Yeah, you're slowing down when you hit them. Oh, is that her? Wait. What was that radioactive symbol? Did the game just like introduce petrol as a mechanic now? I got a rocket, I think. Not sure what happened. I think I missed, but I guess we finished the level. Yeah, I'm radioactive now, but that's fine. I'm Bond, James Bond. I'll find some way to deal with it. Well done. Okay, let's just wait for the score tell. It's it's a little underwhelming. Like, obviously on a real phone, well, presumably anyway, the menus would not be this slow. So at least the balance between time spent looking at your score and the time spent playing the game would be a little bit better balanced. But I mean, I think it's good also that they didn't design these like 12-minute long stages. You know, they don't overstay their welcome. I will say it's this platform XN, which I'm not very familiar with. I mean, I first heard of it when I was looking up this game, and I got this like package of stuff, and just looking at I just happened to have the window open with all the games, because I was curious to look up when I asked the file size of this game. And there's a lot of interesting stuff here that, like, unrelated to Bond. I'm like actually quite curious to look at some of these games. There's Age of Empires 2 Mobile. There's Bomb Jack. There's Banjo-Kazooie. There's Crash Bandicoot. What else we got here? Jurassic Park 3, Kung Fu Legend, MotoGP. Sexy Video Poker, Sexy Breaker Manga. Okay, that sounds pretty good. South Park, Spyro, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, The Terminator, Tomb Raider. There's 3 different Tomb Raider games on this. There's Worms. Man, I'm excited to play these games sometime. Anyway, in the meantime, let's see if we can get our score tally to finish up here. I think we might have to do an XN stream in the not too distant future. Look at some of these games. Because this is the only Bond game on here, so we're not going to come back to XN within the confines of James Bond. But there are several J2ME Java phone games that we will be looking at. All right, we finished the level. I pressed enter, so now we wait. I'm still not clear on whether that red car we bumped into a few times was supposed to be Jinx or what, but we finished the level. Man, the complete lack of feedback is so weird. Like I'm like starting to wonder if I did I press the button or did it like not register the input? I'm not sure if it's fading, like if that fade. I think that's just some like screensaver thing. Yeah. Press enter again and see if we got past this before. I'm sure we'll be fine, but it's just this massive delay on anything when we're in the menu screens. Execution engine, yeah, that makes sense. The mobile gaming engine developed by French company Infusio, the very first Java-based game engine entirely dedicated to mobile devices. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm sure I would have read that in the past, but it's been a while since I did this prep. Okay, so now it's okay. I can get the the screensaver thing to go away, and let's press enter 3 more times. I didn't have to press like some other button to progress previously, so because obviously you do have these like buttons. The yes and no on screen there is like indicating what the function is of the buttons that are on the top left and the top right. But on my PC keyboard, I don't know what keys are bound to those buttons. I think so far I've been able to progress by pressing the enter or return keys, which I'm assuming are like bound to the confirm key on the left there. And if I press escape, that seems to move me back or press the no key. But I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is. I'm more than a little confused as to why this particular level complete screen seems a little more difficult to get through than the previous ones. Because when the screen goes dark, I think that's just some kind of a screensaver thing. Like when you idle for long enough, which would seem to indicate to me that it's not registering the inputs, but then I press the enter key and it like goes bright again. And then I press the enter key like 2 more times. I try to go down. I didn't have to like scroll. I don't know. Maybe we can, if for some reason we have some problems here, maybe we might be able to press no to save and start a new game and continue. Funnily enough, if we have to start over, it's getting through these screens that's like the time-consuming, challenging bit. The levels are just, you know, whatever. But yeah, I don't seem to be able to scroll down or really do much of anything at this point. But it's hard to say because, again, like you press a key and if something's going to happen, it takes a very long time. Try to press escape once. And like you don't, I mean, I kind of am already doing it, but ideally you don't want to be queuing up a bunch of different inputs either, because then it's even less predictable. Like if something happens, you'll have no idea what caused it or how anything happened. But I have a feeling that I have fucked something up. Yeah, so I just pressed down and like very kind of immediately it went bright again. Escape a few times. It's weird. It's like, again, it's like accepting inputs and reacting to them. It's as if my simulated phone is receiving inputs, but the game software is not. Because I have some like memory thing. There's like a window that displays a bunch of numbers. And whenever I'm like doing stuff or going between menus or it's loading something, that window like flickers like crazy because it's like doing stuff. And right now it's completely just standing still. Nothing is happening. So I'm assuming that nothing is happening. However, I'm not sure if pressing a button could make something happen moments from now. But I will say that I can actually use the program's menus, which usually you can't when it's like super frozen. So it's actually kind of like it's not frozen at all. The game just stopped. I think we're stuck here, but I'm not sure. Huh, okay. That's help. All right. GG, yeah, thanks. Seems like Exen is specifically a JVM-like environment for non-Java phones. Can't imagine it ever performed all that well. I guess that kind of makes sense. Which would also explain why this is sort of a... It's not an emulator because it's the same thing, but it's running on Windows instead of running on whatever those phones would have been. Yeah, I think I'm a bit at a loss here. I think we're just gonna have to restart, which is... I was not... okay, I press the reset. I'm not shocked that that might be the case. Can I go down to... No. I'm trying to use this to like... Okay, enter key, that should work, yeah. Try to see what I can figure out as far as the controls go. Alright, skip this. So I reckon we didn't save anything. I don't even know if you can, but I'm pretty sure because we didn't, we're not gonna have any progress, and that probably means we can't change to a different level. But that's okay. Yeah, new game, I guess it just said. But all right, so it still lets choose your level. I'm pressing right. Oh, we can't. Man, okay, so maybe we can just cheat our way through here. So we finished level 3, right? All right, let's choose level 4. That's a surprisingly nice convenience. Okay, I'm not really sure what this picture is showing us, but some kind of majestic wintry landscape, I guess. We get the briefing that explains, yeah. You lose track of Jinx at a crossroad. You quickly try the right way. I mean, the right way seems like a good way to try. Waterfall, iceberg. Your guess is as good as mine, but yeah. It made me think of... not necessarily the actual scene from the film where you're driving around on a frozen lake. But I think there was a level like that in... Was it in Nightfire? I think so. And it kind of made me think of that. We're like walled in. Alright, well, looks like we're back in the game. Okay. I guess we're probably not on a frozen lake. Because there's light posts. Also, the ground is bright green. Oh, I missed the clock. So far, I guess... Oh, logs. Oil drums. Ouch. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Little bushes in the road. Okay. There's more obstacles and fewer items here, it seems like. Whoa. You basically turn, like, automatically. You just have to kind of tap here and there to follow along with a turn. Like completely going off-road or crashing into a road sign or something seems impossible. We're actually, I was gonna say running out of time. That was lucky. We got we got 10 extra seconds when we had like 1 second left, and we finished 1 second away from a slick 007, but 008 will have to do. The laser beam from the movie. I guess there was an orbital laser in the movie, right? I somehow forgot about that because the movie is so forgettable. It wouldn't make that much sense, I guess, if that was happening as far as the game's explanation of the plot, but sure, I'll believe that. Yeah, the thumbs up seems... I don't know, it reminds me of Sonic 2, the bonus stage. Bond made it in time. Cool! You get a little thumbs up. It feels a little bit out of place, but... well done. Let's see if we can advance to level 5 or if we're stuck here. Usually the score tally takes a little while to get past. Keep pressing the enter key every now and again. I just hope there isn't some part of it that I was gonna say that's gonna be dependent on us having played every level or something. You beat Zhao, it will change the curse of history. I didn't realize we were competing against Zhao. We took a wrong turn, which was a right turn. Oh shit. The end. All right. Okay, that's pretty sick. I like that they added like 5 driving sections to like, oh, here's Bond getting to the actual location of the game before anything that's from the movie happens. And then after doing that for 4 levels, it's like, oh, you beat Zhao. The curse of history has changed forever. The end. Well, we did it. Okay, that's 007 Ice Racer for XN. I guess it's short for Execution Engine, but I would have guessed it meant Excitement Engine because that was extremely exciting. Extreme engineering went into this, I'm sure. Top tier game, yes. Exo Riot. Or however I read that, I'm not sure. This was Port Phones, as helpfully explained by Lamisar doing the research. XN was kind of a software layer or an engine that could run games on phones that did not natively run Java. So it was a very early mobile phone game platform, the kind of stepping stone from, you know, Snake and Space Impact to a little bit more elaborate Java stuff on the J2ME platform. Speaking of, we have completed Ice Racer. I guess that's time. 42 minutes of which I'm sure at least 30 were just waiting for menus and talking, but that's all right. It's all right. We got a joyful 42 minutes, 42 seconds out of this game. We're not done with Ice Racer because there is a J2ME version, and we're going to be playing that as well. I'm going to need to boot up a different emulator to run J2ME, and we will see a completely different version of Ice Racer with different gameplay and its own brand of jank and delightful adaptation of aspects from the movie with potentially questionable levels of faithfulness, but we shall see. We shall see. I think, however, that this is as good a time as any to take a short break. I'll just go stretch a little bit. I'll be back in a minute and check out the J2ME version of Ice Racer. I'll be right back. I'm still muted. I'm not anymore. There we go. I pressed the mute button and it didn't take. Luckily, I noticed. Well, you didn't miss much. Basically, I was saying we're back. And we'll bring this up on screen as I make some slight adjustments here to the game details. As we are playing a different version here. The J2ME version, developed by Iomo. For Vodafone. So, reading this description again of the game. So for all the games, I have this little info screen, right? And I've mainly collected synopses for games from Obi Games and Game FAQs or that kind of thing, Wikipedia. And I just kind of edit and truncate a little bit to make it fit without making it like overly long and verbose. And it's interesting sometimes to look at these descriptions once we've seen the game, because this description doesn't quite seem to match what we just played. Maybe some of this is more apt to, as a way to describe the other game that we're about to check out. I don't really know, but there wasn't really a lot of killing villains. There wasn't really, I mean, the Ice Palace was mentioned at one point. We didn't really race anyone. We didn't really drive faster than any enemies. But, you know, we got there before time reached zero. We had, for at least one level, some kind of petrol mechanic. I don't know. But let's see what the J2ME version has to offer. So bear with me as I get this. Whoa, not what I wanted to do. Is running. And that should be correct. I think this has some audio. We'll find out. We'll find out. Okay. I think should be the most recent one. All right, let's oh yeah, super quick before we jump into the next game, just an update here. We are now halfway to reaching today's goal. If we collect 1,000 Q credits, and that we do by charitable, friendly, generous viewers contributing to the channel in the form of subscriptions, bits, donations, and merch sales, to the tune of roughly 500 bits or $5 or 2 subs or whatever, how that all adds up. We'll reach 1,000, which would complete our daily objective. We have completed 4 out of 10. Once we have reached 10, we will unlock another secret mission, i.e. a bonus game to be added to the list. And I'm pretty excited about that. Well, let's get to the game. And see if the capture is gonna wanna What the? No, that's not. What? What's... Oh, go. Jesus, OBS. Let's try that again. There we go. What happened was apparently the process closed and replaced itself with another process when I loaded the actual file. So let's try to load that again, because I think there may have been an intro screen of some kind there. There we go. So you may notice looking at this screen right there. Well, you may notice looking at this screen that the game's in German. I don't think I've been able to get an English version, but I think we'll be able to get the gist of what's going on. I know a little bit of German, and I'm sure someone in chat can help out if need be, but I think we'll be okay. But before that, when we saw the title screen, it's like horribly scaled and blurry and weird. And to the best of my understanding, this is because a lot of Java games obviously were made for a lot of different phones. And different phones would have different screen resolutions. And from what I can tell, when it comes to getting dumps of these games, different versions would be made for different resolutions. And I got like 5 different... Well, I don't know if they're 5 different versions, but I got different versions of this game that were at least ostensibly labeled as different versions from different places. Some of which were designed for certain screen resolutions. I were not able to get any of them running and looking correct in those supposed different resolutions, but apparently, as far as I can piece things together at least, what we're playing here is a version for like a slightly higher screen resolution, and in order to make the game run and work, they basically took those original art assets and just kind of stretched them out and made them look like dog shit in the process, or at least that title screen in particular. There may well be some way out there to play a version in a smaller and more correct screen resolution to avoid that. What we're looking at right now is like more of a system menu kind of thing, so everything is nice and crisp here, but there might be some in-game graphics that are looking pretty crunchy and weird. Unfortunately, there's really not that much I can do about it, but on the other hand, I don't think the actual experience of playing these games on an actual phone at the time would have any amount of guarantees to be any less, you know, clumsy and weird. So on some level, I reckon it's maybe a somewhat faithful experience. So let's go to Einstellungen and see if... Okay. We have tone. So let's see if I can figure out how do I go back. Zurück is the left button, which... Can I actually see what the keys are here? Infos. No, that's not what I was looking for. Keypad. Oops, left soft key. Yeah, I can click that. Okay. I can do that to go back, but I should be able to... Yeah, Einstellungen is settings. But I was curious because I wasn't sure if... When I was doing some testing, I was jumping between different versions and everything, and I know that there was some way somewhere, but it might be in the game itself where I could set some kind of audio levels. I want to say that there is some sound effects or music that I could enable that was like terrible, but we'll see if we can get to it. Höchstpunktzahl is high scores. Anleitung, is that like opening or something? Let's... does the enter key work? Anleitung, okay. Stoppen Sie Ihre Gegner jeden Preis, sei es als James Bond oder Sau. Mächtige Waffensysteme und Upgrades verwandeln Ihren PS-Boliden in eine fahrende Festung. Rempeln Sie Ihren Gegner an und feuern Sie, was das Zeug hält. Aber passen Sie auf, dass Sie nicht... How do I advance? Okay. Okay, I think I backed out there. Right. No, wait, hang on. Oh, that's back. Wait, how do I confirm? Okay, that works. That backs out. Surely I meant to scroll down here and read more, but does not appear to be the case. No, oh, buttons are confusing here. Sie schlüpfen in die Rolle von James Bond 007, dem besten Geheimagenten des MI6. Am Steuer ihres Aston Martin Vanquish liefern sie sich rasante Verfolgungsjagden mit Zhao, dem Handlanger ihres Feindes Gustav. In ihrer heutigen Mission gilt es, die schöne Jinx zu befreien. Okay. Alright, so we gotta rescue Jinx. Beautiful Jinx. As the top secret agent of MI6, Mr. James Bond 007. Yeah, so the other, the general Anleitung is we have to stop our enemies at all costs, as James Bond or as Zhao. We use mighty weapon systems and upgrades to transform our PS Boliden, I'm not sure what that means, our car, I guess, I don't know, into a traveling fortress. And we have to watch out for something, but I can't scroll further, so your guess is as good as mine. I think that's sort of a general rough translation. Yeah, we're driving our Aston Martin Vanquish to fight with Zhao, who's the henchman of the Ihres es Feindes Gustav. I guess he's the henchman of our enemy, or our I guess it's an adjective, right? But whatever. He's Gustav Graves' henchman. And it's also part of our mission to rescue Jinx. I'm sure we're gonna find ourselves in trouble. So, setzen Sie sich ans Steuer Ihres Jaguar XKR. I don't know how to say letters in German. XKR? I don't know. Und zeigen Sie Bond, wer der Schnellere ist, während Sie Ihren Gegner bei der Stange halten, schmilzt langsam aber sicher der Eispalast. Mit ein bisschen Glück sind Sie dann auch Bonds kleine Freundin Jinx los. Alright, with a little bit of luck, we'll own Bond. I don't know. The basic gist of it is we can play as Zhao in this game. So that's pretty novel. This is not the first time we've played a game where we get to play as different characters, because there was, at least in Tomorrow Never Dies on the PS1, there's a level where you play as Michelle Yeoh, or her character rather, Wei Lin. I can't recall off the top of my head if we've had any other... We had a few other characters show up and like help out and do stuff in Agent Under Fire and Nightfire, but I'm pretty sure... I was gonna say we don't play as them, but now I have this vague inkling of a feeling that there was some section in one of them where you play as a different character, but I can't quite recall. But I think this is probably the first time we're playing as a villain. So that's pretty cool. This little you know, humble mobile game offering a brand new type of experience. Oh hey, we have some score saved here from when I tried this before. So what's info? Okay, just legal. All right, well, let's Spiel starten, shall we? James, Sie sollten sich beeilen. Gustav hält Jinx gefangen. Riesen zufolge wird die Eispalast eng bewacht. Noch etwas. Palast schmilzt. Oh, okay. Ah, okay, that's loud. I don't know if I can pause this, but we'll okay. So we have a timer, and I think we just have to like survive. But I can shoot these little dots. I like the cars are actually like pretty accurate, right? He had like the green car with the gun on it. So we have like the damage meters filling up. I want to say, I think we can beat the level by killing that, or I don't know, filling up his gauge. But I think if we make it to like the end of the clock without dying, that also counts. We'll see what happens. Oh, there we go. Let me open up the volume mixer and lower the volume of that a little bit. I'm the car on the left. Gustavs Handlanger Zhao versucht sie also zu stoppen. Vielleicht will ihr etwas Nitro einheizen, aber bringen Sie mir bloß das Auto heil wieder. Oh yeah, right. So we can now change weapons. So we have a gun. Yeah, we're the Aston Martin Vanquish, of course, right? I can equip the Nitro, and we have 4 charges, and I can crash into him, and it deals more damage to me than to him. It seems like. Oh, but it didn't actually kill us. Well, we got shot, and we died. Gabon, Ihre Hilfe kommt leider zu spät. Ziehen Sie sich zurück. Alright, okay. We game over. Yeah, so you get a different weapon on each level, I guess. That's about as far as I played in testing. Yeah, the Nitro seems useless, but you can thankfully swap back to the pistol. Andy Games still exists. That's pretty cool. They actually mentioned this game as part of the company's history on that website. It's pretty prestigious, wouldn't you say? I don't forget, like, did we just skip? Aren't I supposed to have a screen where I pick? Oh, there we go. Okay. I was gonna say where I pick between Zhao and Bond. I'm just like I'm pressing the key once, but we just like launch right into selecting Bond. But there is a screen where we select between Bond and Zhao, but I did a little bit of testing, and it seemed like maybe it's easier as Zhao than Bond, so we'll try this first anyway. I just wanted to show off the, because that's what happened last time I played too. I just crashed into him with the Nitro. Alright, that was a lot faster. I almost died, but dude, how is it? I lower the volume a lot in Windows and it's still like mega loud. That's like the little jingles that I'm assuming are like not quite emulated properly. There's also stuff like this where there's like system settings for fonts and stuff that's not quite correct, because we're kind of defining all these different aspects based on presets for different phone models. You know, the screen resolution, the system font, the text settings, and all kinds of stuff. So we end up with something that's probably not accurate. The controls are really weird, by the way, because just like stop. Okay, I'm completely dead. But I will do this, and he at least won't go into our bullet rain here. Let's try to survive to 0 and see if we clear the level. Because if I stop shooting, he might drop down and fire the... Because I guess he has different weapons on each level, too. And here, he, like, drops mines or spikes or something, which essentially, you know, they just act as a projectile, more or less. It's not mechanically that different, but they deal way more damage than the bullets, and they're larger, too. So, easy to get destroyed. Okay, he escapes, but now what? I'm gonna score tally. Oh. Gestern habe ich Ihre Motorhaube bestückt. Verschwenden Sie bitte nicht allzu viel Munition. Alright, now we have Uzis. Oh my god. Okay. Thanks. Just flipped me upside down and comboed me. Okay, we have our tiny little bullets that are slightly different. Oh my god, you can't move and shoot at the same time. Alright, I've lowered like 2% volume here for it not to blow my ears out. Oh my god, I don't know why we're like skipping past the character select instantly this time. So you can like... I'm sure you can manipulate... Like, because his movements seem like predictable enough where you can like basically lay out a little bullet carpet and like maneuver so that he will run into them. But as soon as you are aligned on the same axis, like he will be constantly shooting at you too. So I mean, look again, I had like 1 pixel of health left. It's really difficult to like not take massive damage. And on this level, he has the shittiest gun. And now that he's got the whatever... Alright, maybe if I try... Alright. See, like, as soon as I pass by him, he shoots. So maybe I can abuse that somehow. The timer, we're done with the main game. We could run the timer for this, but I figure we'll just leave it. Oh yeah, we just transitioned to the soundtrack to the point-and-click adventure game, by the way. Oh boy, Okay, I literally got comboed at the start of the level because I was adjusting the music volume. And before I could move, he had drained my entire life bar. That was pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to try to load a different version later to see if I have better luck not instantly skipping past the character select. I mean, I guess it's not a huge concern because I don't want to be playing as Zal right now anyway. Like, anytime you shoot, there's like a weird kind of delay during which you can't move up or down. So you can't like smoothly move. I mean, I guess it's probably down to the like the input interpreter of the phone. You know, it's probably not good at registering multiple inputs simultaneously in general. But it makes for a very strange feeling when you're playing. Oh. I died. So the nitro actually does seem like it works. It's just you have to hit him, you know, from behind. At any time you're doing that, you're likely to just crash into his little projectile. So you have to like back off here, because you can move forward, but no, that's not really helpful either. So just create enough space so that you can move past him like this, so that he will shoot his little bear trap thing and miss it, because I guess he has like a cooldown period. But yeah, I would say, you know, I wouldn't say this is the better game necessarily, but it does seem a little bit more based on actual events from the film. The actual cars and locations. Sort of. Alright. Oh. Yeah, trying to do it like that. There we go. Yeah, that actually works. So basically, like, move past him to make him miss shot, and then try to get into position to shoot. So something similar might work for this level with the missiles, but you just have to make sure to like not get hit instantly at the beginning of the level. So I'm like mashing down because I'm not sure if holding down ahead of time will work. Nope, I can confirm that it does not work. Oh my god, okay. Because I said that and then I was like, you know what? I should try holding, because if it works, then that's obviously going to be easier to try to time it or mash it. But no, it did not. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I pressed a different key and it worked now. So we can play as James Bond, or we can play as Zhao. Incredible likeness of Rick Yoon here. Looks exactly like the movie. You can clearly tell he's got diamonds embedded in his face. The Pierce Brosnan likeness, every bit as perfect. Just flawless. All right. Trying to be aggressive here. Like, it doesn't really matter if I take damage, as long as we advance. There we go. Level 2. Whoa, that didn't work. Missed, okay. Rate of fire doesn't seem as limited as I thought, but he just elects to not shoot it that frequently. Could probably trade and win at this point, but it's a little scary. There we go, okay. So basically, I want to mash down and left to try to create a little bit of space beginning here. And see if we can survive the first 2 seconds of level 3. The first time we got here, I didn't get like instantly death comboed. But you really don't want to be slightly comboed either. Okay, there we go. Projectiles seem slow, at least, the missiles. Whatever it is. Wait, did he swap? Oh, he did. He went back to the previous weapon. He ran out, I guess. Oh yeah, he's got an ammo counter that... Oh yeah, I have fucking 300 rounds. Alright, if things start looking too hairy, we can just... Wait, can I? No, okay. I wasn't sure. I knew I could swap weapons, but I wasn't sure if I had. Oh wait, he just swapped back. Fuck it, let's do the coward strats. I have the life lead. I don't think that matters. If I survive, we win the level anyway, but... Alright. See ya. Take those. Aktivieren Sie die Spikes für bessere Bodenhaftung. Auf diesem rutschigen Untergrund könnte das nützlich sein. Upgrade Spikes. Okay. Oh, fuck. Oh my, I can't even get... Okay. I was too far forward. I need to go 2 pixels further back. No. Ah! I confused myself. All right. I have to imagine there's not that many levels, so I think we can learn the strats to get past. And I think if all else fails, the coward strats seem perfectly reliable, even if I'd like to consider them a last resort. First stage is fine. Like, his dinky little gun doesn't really do much. I mean, it does as much damage as mine, I'm sure, but he doesn't fire that much, so mostly fine. The nitro isn't as useless as I first thought, so do it correctly. It does do a chunk of damage. Now we have enough of a life lead that we don't have to be super scared of raiding. Yep, there we go. All right, we got Uzis. I actually got tripped up by it being slow that time. Ah, the controls are so bad. So easy to like just get stuck. All right, okay, we're playing it safe. Like I'll try to get fancy for a little bit if I can. I'm not above doing what I have. Doing what I have to, rather, to achieve my goals. I mean, we get shitty score, but that's a fair trade-off. Okay. So activate the spikes for better grip, I guess. Can't swap to them or anything. I thought for a second I could shoot while moving. I was trying to discern. Okay. Oh, is he back? Yeah, he's back to his pistol now. Okay. No, he just swapped to rockets. That asshole. All right. Well, that settles it. All right, I dare you. Drive into my... The funny thing is, he could drive down there and soak those hits, and he could still destroy me. But luckily, I emanate a very powerful aura. He's afraid. All right, that's level 4. What's next? Sehen Sie den roten Feuerknopf am Lenkrad? Dies aktiviert die Woden Schrotflinten. All right, we have Schrotflintens in golden muskets or some shit, like fucking pirate guns. I'm yet to see like what they do, but they deal damage if I hit, I'm sure. It looks like they do good damage, but a little awkward to try and line up shot. Oh, yep. Now he's doing rockets again, so. Oh, well, he swapped back. Oh. If this mash a little. Oh my god! I was gonna say I can mash a little harder, but I was trying to turn. I got too greedy. I got too greedy. Try again. There's like not that much of a strategy to this, I feel like, but you could probably, like I said, you know, there's I'm sure there's a degree of consistency to the behavior that you could learn if you were so inclined. Very well this time. I have the lead, but I'm taking much longer. There we go. Like, the ideal is when you lay down this, like, big pile of bullets next to him, and then you manipulate him to turning into them so he gets hit by, like, 5 of them at once. I guess the game froze? Whoa. Game's running, but... Start, pause, tick. That's tick. Okay. Bend. Resume. Okay, I guess we're restarting. Let's try that again. That's weird, but hey, first time for everything, I guess. This would be... Like, the controls are already weird on a keyboard. Playing this on an actual phone, where you're, like, using the numpad to go up and down with 8 and 2, and pressing 5 to shoot. It'd be pretty difficult. I mean, easy enough to get to the bottom of the screen and coast, I guess, but you are not getting terribly impressive scores that way. But hey, who cares? You get clown music. Yeah. Health is bad. Yeah. I did a poor job with landing the nitro tackles. No, you kind of need to do that to get the life advantage. Get you the little safety buffer to attack while he's trying to attack you. Thank you very much for clipping. Appreciate that. If you do make clips, do feel free, if you are a member, to post those in the clips channel on my Discord. It's always appreciated. It helps promote the channel, helps other people who aren't around to catch up with fun and cool moments. So I appreciate that. But thanks anyway. All right, let's see if we can do this better this time. Nope. Then 1 hit. 2. Nope. All right, that worked out mostly okay. Need to, like, there we go. Land 1 or 2 shots is what I was meant to say. Oh, we got it. Okay. Rocket Uzi stage. Gotta go down back. Oh, they did fucking crash again. Am I sure? No. What's the no button? Fuck. That was the S button. I accidentally found a way to quit, I guess. Why is it, like, constantly freezing up now? Oh yeah, I think this version. I'll load up a different image. Sure if it's going to be any different, but might as well try. Yeah, because this one doesn't have any. They saved data. All right. There's no reason to suspect that this will work any better. But the thing is, too, like with an emulator like this, because there's a lot of different factors with configuring, it's a little bit like emulating an Amiga or something. You pick from a list of like 8,000 devices what device you're emulating. And it's hard to know, like, what compatibility may have been like on actual real hardware, let alone what potential limitations or issues the emulator introduced. So gotta try our best to see how it works. This is proving to be a little bit more of a challenge than I expected. Like, right when I'm kind of on the cusp of succeeding, and we're like, you know what, let's get a little greedy. I end up losing. And then when I'm like, all right, screw it, let's just do the cheese strats of coasting our way through here. Then the game's not letting us because it's gonna make the emulator keep freezing. But let's see if we can dude, if you mistime it, you like, it's so awkward. Fuck it. All right, 40 seconds, let's do it. I don't want to restart if I don't have to. We do this. Can I pour a drink with one hand? Let's find out. I'm over here tapping the 5 key on my numpad with my left hand. I let go there for a minute. Oh my god, this is a challenge. Trying to unscrew this bottle with my other hand. I guess I don't have to keep like that sustained fire for him to still be afraid. I can just shoot sort of intermittently and it still works. All right, cap is back on. We got our drink. Oh, hey, we did, and we cleared the level. All in a day's work. All right. I'm landing a couple of hits. But as soon as, like, if he swaps back to the rockets... Oh, yep. We might be in trouble, but we got a good... I was gonna say good life lead, but I guess that doesn't mean much, but because if you get comboed by a rocket, you can be pretty much screwed. Alright, spikes level. Q seems to insist that we can activate the spikes for, like, better grip or whatever. But I can't toggle to the spikes as a weapon. It's a little confusing. But anyway, I guess we have spikes. Basically means we don't have other weapons. Well, I guess we do have the Uzis here anyway. I swapped. Oh yeah, we cleared this stage before too, because we got the fucking pirate guns. I'm getting kind of comboed. He's almost out, which means he's probably going to swap to missiles. Yeah, let's keep it safe. I mean, I guess you get score for how much you damage Zao and how much life you have left. I guess time also, but I'm not even sure. It doesn't. Well, I guess it wouldn't. You wouldn't see. There wouldn't be any tallying happening based on the time when the time's at 0. Anyway, I'm more concerned with survival. Oh my god, look at that combo. Like sometimes you like maintain momentum and can go for a while, even when you start shooting. Okay. Fuck it, we're playing it safe. We're playing it safe. I'm not making the same mistake again. We landed a few hits. We take those points and we're gonna be happy with it. It's time for cheese, indeed. Time to hydrate. I'll check my phone real quick. Okay, 5 seconds. What's up, Trap? The timer is complete, actually, because we finished the original version of this game. We probably should have run the timer for this version also, but then I figured this would be real quick, and then it wasn't. But good looking out, I appreciate it. Anyway, we got some kind of magnet shield. Oh my god. I don't know if it's gonna help us. Oh. Okay, it lit our car on fire. This weapon? Oh, he's just making holes in the ice? Oh, now he's shooting missiles. Okay. And now he's using the gun again? I mean, ultimately, you don't really... Like, different weapons of his are, you know, provide different amounts of risk. But it's not like you really deal with his weapons any different. Fine, we landed like 2 hits. Okay, I guess maybe if you use the shield, you're, like, invulnerable. You can just mash shots, but I'm gonna try to figure that out. Not if I can do this. I'm not gonna risk restarting for a 12th time. Just for that. 6 levels, that's already more than the other game. That was what, 4 levels? Oh shit. Ich habe ein paar nette Stinger-Raketen im Kühler versteckt. Alright, we have rockets. Oh my god, this fucking game, man. Oh. Spielende. Yeah, things can turn pretty rapidly. See, that's the thing, like going through the stages can be so like time consuming. At least in this first stage, when he doesn't have any other weapons, you can basically mash and come out on top, and you can be pretty aggressive and not worry too much about taking damage. That level's pretty fast. And level 2, if you have a little bit of luck with ramming him, you'd win that level faster as well. Oh my god, like basically if he lays down the little mines or whatever and you drive into those with the nitro, for whatever reason the nitro doesn't like hit him, so like you just take the damage, but the actual nitro attack gets cancelled and you just bump up against him and take like extra damage for that instead. It's really weird. Like turning back when you're upside down is like really awkward and confusing. I think you press the fire button to flip back on your wheels, which I guess is kind of a thing that happens in the movie, right? I recall a shot where he like flips the car, so I guess that's the intention. But whenever you do that, you also go like careening off to the side, so you completely lose control. But yeah, and in these later levels, or at least, you know, whenever Zhao has the rockets, basically, it's just a race to try to get to the edge of the screen so you can apply this strategy. But that's not a given. I don't even remember what he did that last time, because I don't think he used the rockets immediately. He had like a different weapon. Because in stage 5 or 6, whatever it was before that, when you get the pirate guns, Yeah, fine. We'll just do this for a minute. Whenever you get that gun, he starts shooting. It's not the standard gun, I don't think, because the bullets look like they're like a 1 pixel longer. But he can just fire like super rapid and just melt your health bar. I wasn't sure if he was doing that, but yeah, the rockets is the craziest thing because you lose control. Like with everything else, even if you get hit, it does not affect your ability to move out of the way. You just might be hit, getting hit in the process. But when you get hit by a rocket and flipped upside down, you get stuck in place, and he just gets free hits, and you are likely to lose at least half your health. But it doesn't seem like I said, I think you've pressed the button to flip over, but the controls are a little unresponsive and strange, so it's not entirely clear. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh my god, rocket time. Okay. Well. Playing it safe? Mendel 91 with the important questions. Is the game fun? Is the game fun? I mean, I'm kind of having fun, but I don't know how much of that is down to what specifically the game is offering here. But on a slightly more serious note, we have to put ourselves in a certain frame of mind to be able to judge a game by the standards of a 2003 phone game. Not only because the technology was limited or whatever, but just in terms of how you would have been engaging with the games. Cool, great start to this level. Got comboed by his drilling holes in the ice. But that's fine, we survived, we got down here, we're cool. I mean, if I had a phone that could play games at this time, I don't think anything would have compelled me to pay money to download these games. Because I wouldn't... It would be foreign to think that I would play something and pay money for it without knowing what it is. And I certainly would not trust that anything would be good. And I would have been less charitable to it anyway than I am today, I think, So... I don't know, but having said that, if I had, I got a cell phone pretty late. I remember I got my first cell phone when I was in high school, and I was I think the only person, or maybe one of 2 people in my class who didn't have a cell phone, when I started high school. I just swapped to the shield. Fuck it, we'll just do this. I'll just tell the story while I'm over here shooting bullets. Zhao can slide around best he want. My first phone was a Nokia 3310. And that was a banger of a phone. It had Snake. And that was fun. I'd play that. Not, sitting at home wondering what to do. Oh, let's play some Snake. That's a fun game. But, you're waiting for a bus. You're sitting there literally staring off into space. And you're not, you don't have Twitter, you don't have anything on your phone or anywhere else for that matter to necessarily entertain you or make time pass. The phone had 2 games as far as I remember. Maybe there was something else, but it was Snake and it was Space Impact. Space Impact was like a shoot 'em up, which was, it felt impressive given what it could do, but it was as a shoot 'em up, it was a pretty boring, basic game. But Snake, it's a simple game, but it's a very good, fun game. So, would I enjoy this more than that? Probably not. but I could see, you know. I didn't mash 5 hard enough to flip back and get out of the way, because you couldn't see what's happening, but when I was upside down, he was like rapid fire killing me. Like, I don't have a super clean strat for dealing with that. I wanted to see if we can clear the game as Bond first, but now I'm getting frustrated, so now I want to play as Zhao to mix things up a little bit. Just to finish my thought, I think even at the time I would have recognized that this is a clumsy, awkward game that isn't as much fun as something like Snake. But if this is what I had and I was waiting for the bus, like, could this be more entertaining than staring into the ground and doing nothing? Yeah. I mean, and if that's if that's the sort of bar you're judging it at, then I guess it's fun. But it's not very good. Now, schnapp dir diesen Bond und schalt ihn aus. Ich kümmere mich in der Zwischenzeit um Jinx. Alright, so now we're playing as him. And Bond is like whiling around. It's kind of the same thing here, and we got a little preview, I guess, with the kind of weapons we're gonna have. But we also got a little preview of the kind of weapons that Bond will have. Alright, this still seems easier because I'm like even more careless. Let's see how that evolves. The game progresses. We're actually spending considerable time on this. I thought this would take like 2 seconds to beat. But here we are. Bond hängt die wohl an der Essen. Ein paar Eisennägel sollten ihn aus der Spur bringen. Alright. Trade nails. Yeah, so he still has the shitty gun, and we can deal massive damage. And, like, if he's close, he can't dodge it, so that was a lot easier. I guess we can probably combo him with the rockets too, right? It's pretty funny that Zhao is, like, super buff. He's got way better super car gadgets than Bond does. Oh, we've transitioned to Batman music. Hop on back. Oh, you know what? Let's... Alright, that was pretty easy. Let's get back to... Actually, we can go up here. Oh, the ultimate in Bond video game music. We found him someone better than Bond? Yeah. Better equipped anyway. Alright, so we got snow chains. Still have rockets, more importantly. Yep, okay. Yeah, that's pretty trivial. It feels very nice after having to deal with this shit. Just being able to play as this character and do this nonsense yourself. That's pretty good. Yeah, this song right here is the best part of an otherwise atrocious game that's essentially not really functional. A View to a Kill on Commodore 64. Alright, so we got a chain gun. Oh, I still have rockets. Dude. His pirate gun, too powerful. Alright, let's... just enjoy the music. Oh, he's getting frisky. But yeah, this is an excellent rendition of an already really good song. It's a genuinely great part of an otherwise... well, I was gonna say I can't even call it bad. No, I can call it bad. It is a bad game, but it is... What sets A View to a Kill apart isn't it being bad, it's that it doesn't work. I will admit that we only played the Commodore 64 version, and that game did come out on other computers. So I am curious to see if it functions any better. I forget what else it's on, but I'd be curious if there is a version that actually functions somewhat. Because conceptually it has some cool ideas. I'm trying to... Oh my god, the controls, you get fucking stuck constantly. Ah. Oh, this is really cool, the game over screen with Zhao. I guess that's supposed to be Bond on the left. Didn't really look like him, but that's fine. Try Zhao again. Game sound doesn't... The game in this is a mystery. We hear noises every now and again. But yeah, it's pretty typical for like Java phone games to not have much audio. You would certainly not expect it to have like full background music or anything like that. Obviously it's different from game to game, but it's pretty standard for it to have barely any audio. Because, you know, it'd be precious storage space for something that most people would just disable anyway. Yeah, we got some clown jingles very occasionally, but it's like not even consistent. Like sometimes you play and it plays sounds, and then the next time or the next 6 times it doesn't. All right. Rockets. You can like flip over pretty quickly. I guess you must be able to. It's just that when you get hit, it also seems like it kind of affects your... Like if you get hit as you flip back, it'll still kind of prevent you from moving up and down as you're getting hit. It's definitely confusing, but you can see that he is able to flip back pretty quickly. He's not like stuck upside down for a long time. So I think that was just me not pressing the button to flip back. Yeah, it's a lot easier to get better scores with Zhao than with Bond. All right, we're already made it to level 5. Yeah, the chain gun. So you can hold a button except for when you can't, basically. Ah, I was getting greedy there again. It's just like, you just want to use the rockets because they're by far the best weapon. I want to try not to have to do the idle strats. Gonna build a game dev crash course around Ice Racer. Week 1, implement Ice Racer. Week 2, make it a decent game. Sounds like fun, to be honest. Like something like this that actually controls halfway decently and is like has a little bit more thought behind it in terms of the balance and design. Like conceptually there's nothing completely wrong with it, just, you know, the execution is a little lackluster. Yeah, I just mashed, like you do have a limited rate of fire, but if you do mash, I didn't realize until it was too late that I was missing all my rockets and he was landing all his shots. So that was, I was getting complacent. All right. I think the game might have crashed. Is there a restart? Yeah, there we go. Try again. Dude, now I'm concerned. I thought, like, yeah, we'll just mess around with this for a little bit, but we're actually struggling to kind of get through this in the time allotted here. I was fully expecting that we would have time to take a look at Hover Chase. Although I guess probably we'll still honestly do that. I mean, we have more than an hour, so we'll be fine. I was feeling far from sure that we would have like a full stream's worth of content in this game, but I was mistaken. The new ski free. There we go. We got the clown jingle again. Like playing this, like it makes me miss kind of the Amiga days. I mean, the days of doing all the Amiga games on GameSpawn, because they were, you know, in a way similar to this in scope. A lot of them were very basic gameplay wise, and just this like very simple gameplay conceit, lightly themed around James Bond, and that's kind of the thing. I would love to have more like that, and I mean, I guess we will, because we have a few of the mobile games, and they're going to be not all like this, but some of them, I'm sure, not too different in terms of scope. I learned in my research around this game that I have on my list the Casino Royale as well as Quantum of Solace each have a J2ME game, but apparently one of them, I think it's Casino Royale, apparently had two different J2ME games. There was like a more sophisticated version and a simplified version, like for different handsets, I guess. And the website said that like the simple game was like apparently the superior one. So I'm like pretty excited to get to try those and compare them. But I think that's like a side-scroller action game, and we've been woefully underserved on that front when it comes to Bond. And that's largely down to, you know, Bond games. There's not a lot of Bond games in the early 90s when that type of game was at its peak. Like all the 80s games were computer games, and that style of gameplay wasn't necessarily the, you know, there's no lack of that style of game on C64 or Amiga or anything, but it's not as if, you know, if there had been a bunch of NES and Super Nintendo Bond games, I'm sure we would have gotten more side-scroller. I'm out of missile. Whatever. We'll just do this then. So as far as like proper action platformers, like, yeah, there's the James Bond Jr. games, but they're both not that great, but also there's James Bond Jr. So really all you have up until this point are the Sega games, the Mega Drive and Master System games, which are both good, but they do kind of leave me wanting more. I don't know if any of the GBA or DS games are like side scrollers, but I'm not sure. I kind of don't think so. I don't remember any game like that, at least. I think they're more like isometric top-down or 3D type things. So I'm looking forward to getting at least a tiny bit more side-scrolling action on phones in the future. Ice Brenna, is that the orbital laser? No, oh, okay, I'm burning holes in the ice. I guess that's what it's supposed to be. Alright, so I don't have the rockets in this level. Oh, he's using the shield, I guess. Oh my god! Fuck! He penetrated my defenses. Okay, so I might have been able to just do that earlier, but that's gonna be a real problem if he can make himself invincible. And this game is turning out to be way more both a challenge and like an interesting game that I expected. I mean, as a game, it's not that interesting. We're doing Bond again, by the way. But the challenge of getting through it, like as soon as we figured like, well, we've got the cheese strats now, it'll be fine. The game tosses, you know, new challenges at us, and we're like, oh, we'll just play as Zhao, it'll be fine. And then Bond just made himself invincible. I'm still extremely scared to try that strat myself, because it doesn't seem like it lasts that long, and I'm not even sure how easy it is to like swap weapons. And even then, if I do that and try to basically do to the game what he just did to me, he can still move out of the way. So not exactly foolproof. When the fucking nitro doesn't work and it just like, it's, you deal a good chunk of damage. It's probably the most damaging weapon you have, but a good half the time it doesn't work, and instead of dealing a lot of damage, you lose control for like a second and take damage. Oh, it's not that great, but I still like attempting to use it, because if you can do it successfully, you finish the level a lot faster and get to move on. Oh. There we go. So you want to basically have him whiff one of his spikes, so that you can basically hit him while he's in recovery until he, like, before he can shoot or lay down another set of spikes. So the strategy is very straightforward, but executing, not always as straightforward. Yeah, so this music, by the way, this is the high score music, I think, from, I think it's from License to Kill, where the theme song for License to Kill is not in the game, but it does have this bootleg version of You Only Live Twice. It's very strange, but it's kind of charming. Alright. This way. The Amiga Bond games generally had like pretty nice music, whether or not it was like anything to do with the film's music. Oh my god, I mainly managed to flip correctly, but the thing is, I realize now what it is that makes it so awkward. I hadn't quite pieced together why it's challenging. It's because as soon as you flip back onto your wheels, you can't, like, the game's weird with inputs. Like I said, you know, the phone probably would have limited the amount or the ability to press buttons simultaneously in the first place. But basically, you press the 5 key to flip back onto your wheels, at which point you will regain control. But you don't have control while you're flipping. Like, there's a delay. You press the 5 key, you begin flipping, and then after you've done flipping, then you have control. So you can't hold up or down waiting to recover from the flip and then move on frame 1. You have to wait to be done flipping, and then it will start accepting inputs. So if you get hit at that point, you'll flip back onto the roof. So I think you have to, like, basically mash to have the best luck of starting to move Ah, that was me losing 60% health because I missed the timing for the attack. Yeah, this game is like charming, but also fairly infuriating. Just 1 or 2 hits, there we go. Running quite smooth for a Java game. Yeah, like, it's just the controls that are very iffy. So doing this like kind of drive-by attacking is also weird because you basically have to stop moving to shoot, and your ability to start moving again after shooting is also a little questionable, or just inconsistent at least. All right, we're doing this now. We're doing this, but it's good practice to just kind of get used to how to flip back from, like, I'm for sure I've never gotten through a level surviving getting hit by missiles and then flipping back that many times. Macaw 45's favorite video game music right here from James Bond Jr. on the Super Nintendo. Man, listen to that slap bass. All right. Oh yeah, this is the level where we get the spikes for our wheels. And because of that, we literally don't get any other weapons. And it's incredibly unclear whether the spikes have any effect. Yeah, the music seems pretty fitting, doesn't it? Oh yeah, here's the Commodore 64 version of the License to Kill sound, or high score music. Alright. We live to die another day. Well, in a couple of seconds anyway. The 5 is the pirate gun. Yeah. Whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. Oh. We got a sound effect. Like, once every 4 attempts, you get like 1 sound effect. The weird little trumpet noise that appears unrelated to anything happening in the game. Do the jukes. Well, I mean, I guess he didn't dodge everything there. He did take a few hits. Really dodging and weaving between them for a little bit there. Rate of fire is so bad too, so you can't really lay down that like suppressive fire weapon. I guess if you get the life lead, you're better off trying to just mash out the regular gun. I have good life lead. Extra, whatever. Let's keep it safe. The game's inscrutable to me. I mean, it's somewhat inscrutable to me as well. I don't know if I could do a better job explaining what's going on, but we're playing currently as Bond on the left side of the screen. We're chasing Zhao, and the meters on the top of the screen fill up when either car takes damage, and we win, or rather we progress to the next level if we don't get comboed. Fuck's sake. So as you see, when the meter fills up, your car explode, and if the right meter fills up, Zhao's car explodes and you proceed. But you don't have to destroy him to advance to the next level. If you survive until time runs out, That's good enough. You just don't get a bonus, basically. Or rather, you know, you get score at the end of a level. You get scored based on how much remaining health you have, how much damage you've dealt to Zhao, or to Bond when you're playing as Zhao, as well as any time left on the clock. So you'll see now, it counts down his health, then it'll count up our health, and then it counts the time. But the controls are a bit iffy. Some of the weapons are a little questionable. Okay, I fucked that up, but that's fine. I don't think it's possible to communicate just through streaming just how bad the controls are, because it's super inconsistent and weird. All right. Oh my god. He's not supposed to do that. But yeah, the main source of trouble here as we get to a few levels in here is Zhao is going to get equipped with weapons that will flip us upside down. And any weapons that do that also deal a bunch of damage, which is not a good thing. But the main issue is once we get flipped, it's very easy to just get comboed. No, it's not shooting automatically. I'm mashing the 5 key. And then you get like different weapons on each level. Oh yeah, so the music we just heard, I think, was from Live and Let Die. And this is the actual theme song from The Spy Who Loved Me, which is oddly only in the Atari ST version of the game. We discovered after the fact. It's a super cool game on the Amiga, but it doesn't have the theme song from the movie, which is a, like, I don't know if it's a bad song, but it doesn't have the name of the movie in it, or even has the title of the song. So that's like pretty subpar by default. But especially in this form, it's a pretty pleasant song to listen to. Nobody does it better. From, yeah, The Spy Who Loved Me. I think it's the ST version. It was one of the versions, and it was not in the Amiga game. Alright, so you just got, like, the main concern with any of these levels is avoiding getting comboed right off the bat. Because if you can avoid that, you have a pretty decent shot at least staying out of the way long enough to, you know, enable cheese strats, or in best case scenario, actually be on the offense enough to deal damage and maybe even kill him, so you don't have to wait out the clock. But that's a pretty rare occurrence, all things considered. But yeah, he will like pretty aggressively sort of get out of the way and dodge, but because that makes him move up and down, that can make him drive into projectiles that are already there. That's kind of the way you land hits. But when you're playing as Zhao, Bond kind of doesn't give a shit, and you can just combo him with rockets almost even more easily than we get comboed. All right. I have the Uzis here as well. Well, oh, I guess maybe those were just left over from the last level, because I only had like 5 shots. Dude. Yeah, I guess he's got the chain gun here. The chain gun is very hard to use when you're playing as Zhao, or to use it effectively at any rate. But if he lines up with you and you're not moving out of the way, your life bar will get melted very quickly. Alright. 15 seconds, we can wait it out just fine. I guess I would kind of want to get rid of that ammo if it's somehow preventing me from getting other weapons next stage. I'm not sure how that works. Because you get something new every level. But I had the Uzi still on this level, but I ran out super quickly, so I'm guessing I just had whatever ammo I had left over from last one. So this is the shield level. My god. Yeah. The shield isn't really practical for offense, because he will just get out of the way, like read your inputs and just not be in front of you. Oh yeah, this is the best Bond music from a video game, by the way. This is the theme song from the Amiga version of The Spy Who Loved Me by Matt Furness. Incredible music. Alright, so I believe we got to this next level once. Forget what's the next upgrade, though. Oh yeah, that's right, we get the rockets, and I was excited to use them, and then I just instantly got comboed and game overed. Yeah, the music does get even more absurd, by the way. Okay. Alright, fuck using the rockets, I'm just gonna survive. I literally have no health. Any touch and I'm dead. Cowards at Eon refusing to use this song in any of the music or any of the movies. All right, is there anything after this is the question, or is this the final level? I kind of hope it is. All right. 7 is kind of an odd number, though. Okay, upgrade munitions. Okay, just get ammo, I guess. Oh, I have 2 nitros. I'm a little afraid to try to use. Yeah, I can't even fucking reach him. Yeah, that didn't work. All right, 39 seconds. Sure, I'll sit this out. It would be nice if we beat this game at least with one of the characters. Figuring out ways to keep myself entertained while the game is happening over here. All right. Level 8. Is that... It didn't really feel like a final showdown, but I guess none of the levels are going to feel that different, are they? Die Zeit bringt uns davon. Räumen Sie die Essien-Sau endgültig aus dem Weg und retten Sie Jinx. Okay, so now we have to rescue Jinx. Level... Fuck. No. Oh, shit. I had it, and then I screwed it up. Oh, this fucking game, man. This game. Spielende. What's our Hochpunktzahl at this point? Yeah, we still got better score with Zhao. Of course we did. Oh, whoops. Let's try Zhao again. I'm okay with not finishing this game because this was kind of more as a little bonus thing anyway. I would like to see the ending, and maybe we can find it elsewhere, but dude, I was so confused there. I forgot we were on the right side of the screen. I have no intention of booting this game up again for the next stream. But we might. Oh, we'll see. My patience is kind of running thin with the game in general. I was gonna say, I was expecting to have a little time to look at and talk about Hover Chase, which is the next game in the list, but unfortunately will not be playable. But if we don't really have time for that, we could always do that as a little intro before we start playing Everything or Nothing, which is the next game after that. So it's fine either way. I was expecting to have like the main content of this stream wrapped up in like under an hour. So I was expecting to have a bunch of time to kill, but it's not really working out quite that way. Hover Chase is not quite playable because apparently it uses some kind of Vodafone Live something or other. There's like some kind of software something that doesn't run. Like, I'm not sure if it's a connectivity thing or if it's just like software that doesn't run properly in any like J2ME emulation solution. I can get the game to boot, but you can't really get past the menus. Like, once the actual gameplay starts, it just freezes. And from what I've read, it doesn't work. I don't know that that's factually true. I don't know if that information is entirely up to date, but that's the best information I've been able to find. I'd be happy to be proven wrong, but I've yet to find a solution to it. So we'll be able to look at some screenshots and read a description, but that's going to be kind of it. Yeah, see, having the rockets as Zao is really nice. Now we get the chain gun. We still have rockets. Bond has a very powerful weapon in this level, so it's a little bit scary. Yeah, I can't afford to take any more hits, so... Fortunately, I don't want to risk redoing the first 3 levels. He's inching closer. Okay, time to match. Oh my god! He still fucking got me. Jesus. God damn it, Bond. Game is pretty hard. Yeah, I should have been more bold, I guess. But that's interesting, because when you're playing as Bond, that strat is like completely foolproof. But when you're playing as Zao, like, surprisingly, Bond's AI and Zao's AI are like not quite the same. Feels like a strange thing to say about a game like this, but it appears to be the truth. Yeah. He just like completely bumps up against me and I can just mash out Caltrops and it's fine. He will eventually dodge some rockets, but I can basically combo, even if it's not like technically truly a combo. For all intents and purposes, it might as well be. But he's getting some stray hits in. So when he's got the pirate gun, which I think he has now, yep, you can see how much damage I take on any hit there. Yeah, I was gonna say I would have died on the next hit, but that's the situation we were in last time. So the thing about playing with Zao is that it's way faster because you basically win each level by actually killing him. Oh my god. Yeah, okay. I should just swamp this. See, he's like inching closer. And if he wanted to, if he was gonna get into an exchange here, he would come out on top easily. Because he could shoot like 2 shots with his pirate shotgun or whatever, and I'd be dead. But yeah, I think the winning move is to switch to the standard pistol anytime you want to try this strat, so you don't have to worry about inconsistent or slow rate of fire, or potentially wasting ammo that you might want to hold on to for one reason or another. But the problem is, like, you relying on this strat or attempting to when he has the shield is not going to work. And I think he has the shield on this level coming up. Did we get this far? I don't think so. I guess we have mines now? Yeah. Oh, he's got rockets and he's comboing me. Yeah, because we basically play the same levels in the same order, just from either perspective. So I get new weapons every level, but so does Bond. And we got to this level with the rockets, but we just like didn't really get to use them because I got, you know, we get comboed by the mines or whatever. Very funny that he keeps like dipping into the gunfire there. Thankfully, so far, he doesn't do it enough to where I actually get hit, or like he, you know, he shoots me. But you can see his damage goes up a little bit every now and again. But yeah, evidently trying this strat with rockets or something where you fire more slowly doesn't work, because he will kind of get in between those gaps. But now I'm shooting enough where he'll keep trying, and he won't actually get there. So we got to level 9 as Bond, and for level 8 and 9, our upgrades were just ammo. So yeah, I guess that's why we just see what's supposed to be Bond's face there. We don't see a picture of a weapon because we just get munitions. Oh yeah, so those are the mines. I just realized now that we actually did see him use those before. Oh, I have rockets. Oh, I'm getting stuck. Okay. That was really scary. I think hopefully we'll be okay. Things turn so fucking quickly though. It's pretty dramatic. And it's so high stakes. We're, you know, like level 9. Oh, this is 8, but we should be surviving this and make it to level 9. Like at this point, the strats are very similar. I'm just very thankful that the shield hasn't really come into play. Okay. Level 8 completed. Alright, looks like he's made it to the Ice Palace. You know what? There we go. I'll just do this, you know, I don't care. In fact, I will probably get the life lead because he's going to inch closer and closer, and he's going to get hit by at least a few stray bullets. He can't resist. That'll give us a few extra points. Well, that's what happened previously. I guess I don't know. My attempts at predicting the AI has not always panned out. But hey, I don't care. If we both make it through this chase / battle completely unscathed, then everybody's a winner, as far as I'm concerned. Oh, okay. Now what? Wait! We lost! He overtook us. Game over. You have to... That probably means that you have to kill Zhao on the final level as Bond also. and that is not something I am ready to deal with. Because I guess you need to, like, you stock up on the rockets and use those and get, like, lucky enough to combo him. Which, like, it's definitely doable, but you know, it's a gamble, and if you screw it up, which you're statistically quite likely to do, that's the entire attempt down the drain. Yeah, I think we'll leave it there. We might come back to it, I don't know, but I don't have it. I mean, I guess I could take a quick look. I was gonna say I don't have a YouTube video or something ready to see what the ending might look like, but let me just look real quick to see if we can find that, because I'm okay. I wasn't expecting to spend much time or to really get into this as much as I did, but I feel like it's fair to, like, I'll leave it here. I don't feel the need. I don't want to rather spend another stream doing this over and over again. But let me just see what we can find. If we can get any kind of closure on this. Not looking great, honestly, just at first glance. Surprisingly not getting any results with any kind of gameplay. I'm getting some other stuff. I'm getting a video about the other game that we did complete. Marathon failed. Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's we're playing this on my premises. Nothing's immediately coming up on YouTube, which is interesting. I would have expected something. But I'll try to do some research and see if we can see what we can find maybe for next time. I'm stunned though. I thought for sure that this would, like, the XN game was, you know, it took 42 minutes, but that was a good 20 to 30 of those were just waiting for the emulator. I don't think anyone has a problem with not seeing this game ever again. I mean, I reckon the ending is not going to be anything too exciting, but I would expect at least one unique graphic of the ending. And maybe that's something we can find. I don't know, but it's just like I was expecting to be able to get through it, and having not done that, it's like, you know what? I would have liked to have seen what that might look like. But oh well, maybe another time. But what we should do, to the best of our ability anyway, is... Ooh. Do some spreadsheeting. But first, Lamisar, in a continued display of incredible generosity, bestowing the stream with 500 barbarian bits, and in the process achieving the daily objective. Thank you so much, Lamisar. I really, really do appreciate that. That means a lot. Would be so kind and generous. And that does in fact mean that we have, let's see if we can fix this. Is this what we're for here? Boom. 5 daily objectives completed. Well done. And thank you. Give me a second here, and I shall prepare the spreadsheet such that we may update it with the latest information. Interact with this. Zoom in a little bit. So Ice Racer for XN. I guess we'll call this mission end. Oh yeah, I'll edit it in this window. I guess we'll call this mission completed. um, let's put that. We completed all 4 levels of the Eggs Inversion, reached level 9 with both Bond and Zhao in the J2M. Actually, technically, we got to the end of level 9 with Zhao, but we failed it, so. But I'm happy enough with that. It's not too dissimilar from some of the older computer games where we looked at multiple versions of them, where we may have beat one version. In fact, the very first game we played, James Bond 007, we didn't complete the Atari 2600 version. We did not complete the C64 version, but we did complete the Sega SG-1000 version. In fact, I should actually change this to say that we played it on J2ME as well. Make the spreadsheet a little bit more accurate. But we can make this green and we can unbold it. And this actually does put us in an interesting spot here, because up next in the list here is 007 Hover Chase. But I think we'll have time now for looking at it to the extent that we'll be able to. So we'll just leave this for now, and we'll make a little update to this. Actually, you know what? Why don't we do this? I'll highlight Everything or Nothing as up next. And I guess we'll mark Hover Chase as orange or whatever color we're using for these unfinished ones. Mission status not aborted. Skipped. I guess I'll come up with a better term for it, but I'll say skipped. Skipped parentheses for now due to game being unplayable. Emulator. That'll do. So basically, let's see if I can find the link here. Yeah, this is like the extent of the information I was able to find. I'll show you in a sec. Browser window, please. Oh, there we go. Wait, what? OBS, there we go. I have the pictures. We can take a closer look at them, but this was one of the pages I found when I was trying to find information about some of these games. And yeah, it says here, another Java game for Vodafone Mobile Games based on Die Another Day, this time from the hovercraft chase at the start of the film. Unfortunately, this uses specific Vodafone Live Java components, which are currently not part of any J2ME emulator. In this game, you try to see how far you can last in an unending level, shooting enemies, avoiding obstacles, and collecting power-ups. There were some additional unlockable game modes, such as racing around a set track and battling another hovercraft in a small arena. That's kind of what we have here. I think... Let's see here. Yeah, we have some screenshots here. That's a pretty good image. Bond, the hovercraft firing a gun. Main menu. So arcade mode is like the main game, and the bonus games will unlock different modes after you finish the main game, I think. It looks cool, right? Like I want to. This looks like more fun than Ice Racer, to be honest. This part reminds me of the top-down shooting level in License to Kill. And that was sick, so... But that's like the little intro, and I guess this is gameplay. Basically, you can get... This is exactly as far as you can get on emulator. And then at this point, nothing happens. So I'm guessing these are like official screenshots. I'm not really sure what the source of these images are. I guess there's a little pistol pickup there. And we have other hovercrafts. Other hovercrafts? It's not the... It's just hovercraft in plural, right? I don't know English. So that's basically it. However, let me show you. I'll boot it up. I might as well... Oh. Oh, this is kind of cool. Forgot about this part. The Vodafone gun barrel. We'll do this. I'll just do that, whatever. Just so we don't have the other info on there, because it's just going to get more confusing. Yeah, so Ice Racer was only available in German. This, I guess, is only available in Spanish. So we can go to set up some opciones. Música, sí. Créditos. So Juegos Extra is unavailable. En el modo fácil del juego normal. So yeah, basically I guess each of these modes, yeah, the dificultad media. So you have to complete the main game on each of the 3 difficulty levels. Oh, the inputs are a bit slippery here, even in the menu. But look at this, like, even the little animations, like, this looks sick. Like, I'm so upset that we can't play this. So we pick Juego Normal. And we pick, oh, there's a little high score ticker. Mr. Kid, 20,000 points. 3rd place. Felix, like, all the Bond characters. That's so awesome. I missed that when I looked at this before. I was, like, kind of just mashing through. Wei Lin. Although it's kind of misspelled. That's not how she spells it, but that's fine. Blofeld. I like that the high score color gets like less vibrant as you get further down the list. Mr. Wint and Mr. Kid have the top 2 scores. That's a pretty unexpected Bond villain little deep cut there. We don't get like Oddjob and Goldfinger and Jaws and Scaramanga or whatever. No, we had Mr. Wint and Mr. Kid. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a very interesting, like, list of 5 Bond character little cameos, like Mr. Wint, Mr. Kid, Wei Lin, Blofeld, and Felix Leiter. Most of whom have not really been featured in games, right? I mean, Wei Lin was in Tomorrow Never Dies, and she was one of the multiplayer skins in Nightfire. But I don't know that Felix Leiter has been in any of the games, which is kind of... Oh, man, you know that... Maybe we should put that on... I was going to say, maybe we should put that on the Bond quotient list. But... do we put something on that list if not a single game manages to do it? I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, we can weigh the Bond quotient value of it based on how many movies Felix appears in. But if he's in 0 games, then it doesn't really matter. But I guess he probably will be in Quantum of Solace, maybe. Because he was in... Surely he was in either Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace, I would think. I mean, I wouldn't count him as being in this game just based on the high score name, but it just, I don't know, got me thinking. Yeah, no, I don't know Spanish, but I can get through the menus. I'm not stuck on it. I mean, I appreciate the translation offers, but we're getting by just fine. Yeah, it's just like it, but it just dawned on me seeing Felix's name and how, like, I feel like there would have been, I mean, certainly in License to Kill, that seems like a game that would have been primed to feature the appearance of a character who is very central to the plot of that film. Yeah, and Blofeld also. I mean, there haven't been any games based on movies that he's in, so that's fine. And also, well, I was gonna say Blofeld isn't necessarily the character you put as like a multiplayer skin, but it's like, well, they put Goldfinger in. He's not super much of an action villain either. I guess the problem with putting Blofeld in a game, especially if you can't use the actor likeness, is that Blofeld has like 45 different actor likenesses, so it's hard to make like a generalized version that it's recognizable, because he could look like anything. Which I guess means you can just put whatever dude in there and just call him Blofeld, and it's almost surprising they didn't do that, but oh well. Spent the last couple of hours trying to run this game and no luck. Flip side, no much more of J2ME emulation. Yeah, I wasn't expecting much, but I appreciate the effort. Vinyl, that's very, I mean, assuming you didn't purely do it out of your own interests. Either way, if you would have gotten closer to a solution, that would have been great, but yeah, I don't expect much. So we can pick Facile, and we Cargando, and then we have some lore, giving us the backstory on the Norwegian, I was about to say, the North Korean encampment. And then we get this screen. And Bond uses his phone, or his watch, to just erase everyone from existence, and then time just stops, and that's the game. It's the game. Unfortunate, because it looks cool, you know, but it is what it is. Tried a J2ME PSP emulator on an emulated PSP, an N-Gage emulator. Q really outdid himself with that watch. Yeah, it's the reality disentanglement watch. You just click it, and then reality just ceases, and then before you know it, it's gone. Just gone. So that's really the extent of what we're going to be able to do with 007 Hover Chase for the time being. So let us, before we are done for tonight, this. Oh yeah. Yep. There's the interact button. Yeah. I reckon this should be pretty quick. We need to fulfill our duties here, and we have to fill in the form here to quantify the bond quotient for this game. And now it's confusing because it says Hover Chase. Whatever. We're not really playing that either. So what elements of Bond films did we see represented in 007 Ice Racer? This is not going to be a very high scoring game, but it will be interesting to see how well it holds up against some of those early computer games and stuff. I feel like it might score a few more points than some of those games did. So gunplay, I guess it doesn't appear entirely specified in this list here, but this does not include firing weapons from a vehicle. The XN version has you shoot rockets, but either way, whether you're firing a gun or rockets, it still would count as car gadgets. And in this case, I'm gonna kind of be charitable or just simplify things a little bit and basically count either or both games. I think if you want to get extremely technical, I would say that the implication in the J2ME game appears to be that when you're firing your standard weapon, it is a pistol, I assume, being fired like through the window or whatever, but it's not really, it doesn't look that way. Like, that requires a bit of generous interpretation on our part. I mean, it certainly doesn't have Bond on foot with a gun in a shootout, so I think it's only fair and consistent to put a 0 here. Because, you know, the entire game shows off Bond's like driving skills and the vehicular combat aspect, but it's just that. So this will be in accordance with how we scored Live and Let Die, which is the boat action game, and 007 Racing, as well as the original James Bond 007 Atari 2600 game, where you also drive a car that can shoot. Similarly, there were no fisticuffs. Again, gadgets is a category specific and separate from car gadgets. So there were no quote unquote on foot gadgets, no manual gadgets in Ice Racer. Driving car, there sure was that. Driving other, nope, just cars. Car gadgets though, hell of a lot of those. Most car gadgets per second of probably any Bond game. Mashing that shoot button over and over and over and over. So charm or smarm? This one is a little bit interesting because I would be inclined to say no. But I also can't... My German isn't good enough to really say for sure, right? The XN version had very dry English text. Bond didn't really have any dialogue that we saw in either game, but we see a little bit of dialogue from Q and Gustav Graves. But I don't think... Provisional half point? I don't know, like what specifically would qualify for even a half point? There is dialogue, there is writing in it, but certainly we don't see any of Bond's wit, and I could give half a point for narration or tone or something beyond Bond's like dialogue. We gave half a point to Octopussy, which technically has dialogue but essentially does not. I can't remember exactly what the rationale was, but I can accept it because there is a few scenes in that game where you like exchange item and like Bond comes across as pretty suave and smooth, but we don't really get anything of that in this game. So, you know, with the caveat that there could be something in the writing that I didn't pick up on, or if you had played the English version, that would have been more present. But I think it'd be a real stretch, and it would be a half point at most for sure. No drinking, which I guess is responsible enough given that it's all driving. Stunts, I'm gonna say, you know, you drive a car, you make turns. You know what? I was gonna say no, but do we count flipping the car upside down back and forth? Ramming, like, you know, obviously if you film a car chase or a car action scenes, like those are stunts. But in a film, for it to qualify, you'd have to be like a marquee stunt. like the fucking corkscrew car jump or whatever, you know, that kind of shit. I mean, it doesn't have to be that spectacular. I'll count a jump. In fact, we gave points to the original James Bond 007 because you drive a car and you can jump, and you jump into the water and do stuff. Like, if you imagined that happening in the movie, that'd be a pretty, like, all right, this is a stunt, this is a marquee moment. But I don't think either Ice Racer game had much like that. The closest thing is that thing when the car flips, which I assume is sort of a reference to the similar thing happening in the film. I can give it a half point for sure. Like, I can give it more than 0, but it's a pretty... The way it's presented in the game doesn't make it feel like a a stunt. It looks really goofy and not cool, and it's not really made clear that it's something like, it feels more like a game mechanic of like, you know, like some driving games have a button to make you like flip the car in case you get flipped over. It feels more like that than Bond expertly applying the Q gadget of car flipping. So we'll I think we'll split the difference and call it a half point. No gambling. So globetrotting is interesting. Neither version has proper globetrotting in the sense of going to multiple locations. They all just take place in one location. However, both games in their own way make good use of that location in a, like, you know, they present it in a scenic manner, justifying having the game set in that location. We are in fact racing on ice, at least in the J2ME version. The XN version, you know, ironically, has you driving on roads, so it's more of a road racer. But it has that one level where there's a bunch of snow. It had the final level where we couldn't quite make out what was going on, but it looked like maybe giant ice something. So I think there are games. Yeah, we gave Octopussy half a point for this. I think for pretty similar reasons. Like, it takes place in one location, but it's very scenic. Like, it couldn't be set anyplace else. And I think that's entirely in the spirit of the Bond globe-trotting aspect, because we've complained, and you know, still given a dutifully given the point to games that have, you know, levels set in 5 continents or whatever. But if the level is still just gray hallways in a facility, it's kind of whatever, and it feels like it's slightly betraying what a movie would have done with that location. But I think Ice Racer, both versions do well, but it doesn't quite capture the totality of the Bond experience if it's only set in one location. But half a point seems fair. No M briefings. M, in fact, appears to not be present in this game. Q, however, is. I'm trying to remember. Okay. So in the XN version, you get a disembodied narration giving you the brief for each level. It's obviously not M, and it's not a mission briefing that Bond receives. It's like the game instructing the player very briefly what's going on. But I want to say that there are games that we have given some kind of credit, maybe a half point, for like having a mission briefing element to it. But I think it's fair to keep it a 0 because it's not being presented as a mission briefing in universe, really. It's just like, this is what you do because the game's friendly enough to do that. But in the J2ME version, you have Q briefing you on the next level and what your new gadget is. And Gustav Graves if you're playing as Zhao. So definitely points for Q briefing. Q branch itself is not really present. Neither is Moneypenny. You'd have to help me remember, but I am fairly certain that the line Bond, James Bond, did in fact not appear in either game. So that's a 0, which is unsurprising in a game where Bond does not appear to have any dialogue. But they could have squeezed it in there. It wouldn't have been that difficult, I feel like. As far as I'm aware, neither version of Ice Racer has any Bond theme music in it. Hover Chase actually does. There's a few items here we can actually fill in for Hover Chase, even if we haven't played it. Of the 2 minutes that we were able to see, we already saw a few things, right? So we can actually enter a few fields just for the completeness sake here. But Ice Racer does not have any... I mean, it has a clown jingle, but it's not a proper theme song. It does have a gun barrel sequence. But I think we gotta give it a half point. Because it features the gun barrel. We see Bond walk on screen. He turns to the camera and fires the gun. But it doesn't... The blood doesn't show up. Like, when he shoots, it just transitions to the double... Like, it doesn't transition. It hard cuts to a 007 logo that explodes, revealing the Die Another Day logo. So they kind of screwed up the gun barrel thing. So I'm going to give that a 0.5. Hover Chase, however, a perfectly cromulent gun barrel sequence. Opening credits, not really. Technically, you can find credits somewhere, but it's not in the spirit of the movies. Product placement, yes. Because the cars are mentioned by name, and they kind of did as good a job as possible of depicting the cars accurately. We don't see a lot of logos and stuff, but at least, you know, they mention Aston Martin and Jaguar and stuff. So I don't remember seeing a bunch of legal text and stuff, which is a little surprising, but I think it counts. Bond in peril. Not really. It's a common element in plots of games and films. If at some point he's captured or he's in some kind of perilous situation and then he has to use his wits to get out of there, but that's not really an element in Ice Racer. Bond likeness. We see a lot of weird Bond faces. None of them look anything like Pierce Brosnan, so I think it's safe to say that's a 0. Sexy ladies. Well, Jinx is kind of featured, right? We see her portrait. I don't know if we get dialogue from her. But to the extent that any characters are present, they made sure to include her. I'd say maybe a half point. We see one image of her in which a lot is left to the imagination as far as the sexiness goes. It's implied that she's a sexy lady, but it's not really shown. But she is present, however, you know, by the bare minimum. So I think a 0.5 is reasonable. I don't think... Yeah. There's not much to say about Sexy Ladies Evil. There are none of those. Dick Powers, I'm going to have to leave blank because we don't know what the ending is. In the J2ME games, it's kind of framed around having to rescue Jinx. So it's possible that the end of the game shows Bond and Jinx interacting, in which case we could be seeing some Dick Powers on display. So I'm going to leave this blank for now. We don't really know. So the henchman. Well, Zhao is very prominently featured, and he's in fact playable in one version of it. Gustav Graves is featured, as a talking head briefing, and I don't think you ever interact with him. I'm gonna say a 0.5. The character from the movie is there. He is included, just in a pretty... If you're playing as Bond, you never know he's there. So technically, he's only included in the game in the capacity of, like, your employer. So he's not even there really in a villainous role. But I'll be charitable and give it a half point. There's no lair. I mean, the Ice Palace and accompanying fake mine / research facility / laser dungeon, whatever. It's debatable how much of a lair it is in the film, but a version of that could have been transported, like, into a... translated. Whatever, I can't speak. Into what could be conceivably seen as a lair, but... The Ice Palace was mentioned multiple times in both games, but we never got to see it. And the last category here is James Bond will return, which is a phrase that often showed up in films' credits and have shown up in games as well. I guess technically we'll have to leave this blank because we don't know what the ending of the J2ME version looks like. I'm gonna assume that it's not there, but hey. I'm just gonna super quickly go over and see what we can put in here. We're running, well, we are out of time. We're not even running short. I'm just gonna fill in whatever I can that we saw for Hover Chase, and we'll get a extremely preliminary figure on the Bond quotient for that as well. Hover Chase obviously has driving other, because that's the entire game. I'm gonna say it could get a half point for the globe trotting. I guess I don't know. I guess it has gadget. It has the fucking universe-ending watch. That's literally the opening of the game. Gets a point for gadgets. Bond does something with his watch. Yeah, because in the movie he uses his watch to trigger the C4 in the briefcase to, like, create all that chaos that lets him escape. So I guess that's that. M briefing, Q briefing. Doesn't seem like it, but I don't know. Yeah, Bond themed gun barrel. Okay, yeah, I think we've entered the points there that we can. Bond in peril, I guess technically that's like the premise of the start of the game, because they kind of got him dead to rights. Well, actually, you even see him there. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna put a point for that. Henchmen, villains, yeah, we don't really know anything about those things. So, okay. Let's see where that puts us. 7.5 points for Ice Racer and an estimated 5 points for Hover Chase. 7.5 for as simple of a game as Ice Racer was. It's not too bad. James Bond the Duel for the Master System got 6 points. Octopussy for the ZX Spectrum got 7. Live and Let Die, the Amiga game, got 4. So yeah, 7.5 for a game that is so narrow in its scope. I think that's not too bad. There's a few things they could have, you know, got in there for sure, but yeah, I'm pretty impressed. So yeah, there we have it. The brief Bond quotient update, and that is this current installment of spreadsheet action completed, and it is also this set of mobile games kind of completed. Played Ice Racer. We didn't play Hover Chase, unfortunately, but we got as good of a look at it as could be expected, I suppose. Next up will be 007 Everything or Nothing for the Game Boy Advance. We are still not free of handheld gaming. Interestingly, Everything or Nothing was a game that came out on multiple platforms, but the Game Boy Advance version was the first to make it to market. as such, we will play this version before we play the console game. It can't be that bad. I don't know. I do know better than to make assumptions. We've had games be better than expected. We've had games, much like today, that I would expect to be a breeze turn out to be a real handful. So I'm excited, but I'm more excited for the console game, but I'm excited to potentially get a cool little, you know, isometric action adventure game. 20 missions, more than 20 missions, in fact, gives me some amount of hope that levels aren't going to be fucking 4 hours long. But maybe the game is super long. I don't know. What game has the highest BQ so far? The highest value at 25.5, I believe, is Nightfire, the console game. But there are a few categories that we didn't track for some of the earlier games. So some of the points on the list could be inaccurate. Some of the numbers may need to go up a little bit. But let's see. Yeah, Nightfire on PC and Tomorrow Never Dies are both at 22.5. The World's Not Enough for N64 is 22. Golden Eyes at 21. There's a couple in the low 20s. 007 Racing 21.5. But you can, of course, it's all publicly available. So if you look at the spreadsheet, there's a second tab at the bottom where you can look up the bond quotient data. I mean, Nightfire was different enough between the two versions. There's like a fair bit of car stuff and driving and everything that's not in the PC version, so I think it missed out a bit there. But conversely, I think there may have been a few things in that version that kind of wasn't in the console game, so they're similar but not the same. But yeah, things are time is running late. My ability to speak is deteriorating at an alarming pace. So I think it's time to wrap up. Everything or Nothing for the GBA will be the next Bond game, but I don't know if we'll get started immediately. I think we might do something else on Wednesday, maybe. I think we'll just have to see how the mood strikes. We're doing fighting games this Friday, so we'll see. I'll just have to make a decision. We might start this on Wednesday, but I think more likely we mess around with some other stuff. Maybe get back to Cyberball for a bit. I had a lot of fun on Saturday stream, just messing around playing random games. I wouldn't mind doing another stream like that. But then it looks like fighting games Friday, and most likely I'd say we're going to do Everything or Nothing on Saturday. I don't think I'm gonna... I don't want to like purposefully put it off. It's just that before I commit to a new Bond thing, I like to just check and see if I want to kind of cleanse the palate with something else in between. Granted, this is going to be something different from certainly from today's games, so we'll see. I might just get the itch to dive right into this on Wednesday, and if that's the case, then so be it. We'll just have to see. In any case, thanks a lot for hanging out. Today was, as expected, a day of technical challenges and driving challenges, but it was fun. Let me just see who we are going to raid. Lots of people streaming as usual. I think we raided him like last time, but fuck it, we'll raid Hazemaker again. He just went live not too long ago, and he just reached 3,000 followers on Twitch and is doing all Commodore 64 Accolade games. I'm sure that will be a wonderful time. So let's go say hi to Hazemaker and enjoy some C64 Accolade gaming. I will be back on Wednesday. Till then, take care. Have a nice couple of days. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next.